distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Pop, not too different from you or me. He worked at Redonkulas Institute, just another face in a red jumpsuit. He did a good job cleaning up the place, but his bosses didn't like him, so they shot him in his face. We'll send
What's up, savages? Terrence Pop here with another episode of Grunt Speak that actually is live from the lair. All right, now we've been covering a lot of conspiracy theories that have actually turned out to be not so much conspiracy theories. And today we're actually going to go through the pearl necklace of fuckery that has been taking place over the past 125 years to bring us to the cluster retardothon that we're in right now. And you can see on the number line behind me, and we'll go through this in detail as we progress in the show, that at each and every single obstacle or flag we have gone past on the ski slope of doom, I hate using that word because it gives me the chills, you will notice that a little bit more of our freedoms have been eroded. Now you have to ask yourself, why is it that that is happening? We're going to answer those questions, but in short, it boils down to this. The United States of America is an anomaly that never should have existed. People should never have been able to get out from under the boot of their tyrannical leaders, want to govern themselves, and live in a world that they deem and rule over themselves. And the powers that be, the 30-pound brains, the billionaires, the forces of darkness, there's all kinds of labels we can attach to that. Well, they just can't have people ruling themselves and being free, because if you look back through all of human history, there's always been an us and the them. The them are the toadies that get stepped on, burned at the stake, executed, sent to war in droves without so much as a hesitation or a blink. And the people at the top live like fat rats on all of our efforts, and they get away with it scot-free. Well, I got Battle Dwarf on station.
No, keep talking.
Okay, what's going on?
Keep talking.
All right, sorry, we have an error. All right, so for instance, what is the most recent thing that took place that basically eroded many of our rights? That would be 9/11. And we're going to get into that. We can do a whole show on 9/11 and go through all of the crazy things that happened that can't really be explained unless you look at it through the eye of a conspiracy theorist. But here we go. All right, Battledorf.
Did you catch what happened there?
You drew a penis on the
Somebody in the chat noticed there's no penis on the board.
You got to have the penis on the board.
There. We had to fix it.
He fixed it.
So the penis is on the board. It is now an official redonkulous briefing.
Yep.
I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. No cock, no talk. What? Huh? Homo suspicion point?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think we're good.
Okay. Jeez, oh, Pete. So the stuff that Pop has on the board there behind him, I've been looking at this stuff for years and years and years and years, and it dawned on me that there's definitely a plan afoot here, but I don't think that they planned it from that moment to this moment in a linear fashion like that. As opportunities came along, they cut old pieces away and added new pieces and used new techniques. Like, obviously, they tried world wars. They tried essentially 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that shit worked. So now they're using human carpet bombs.
Mm-hmm. The meat wave.
And economic invasions.
Mm-hmm.
Because the big battle thing didn't work, didn't get them what they wanted.
A lot of it has to do with what they just got away with.
Yep.
Every time they get away with something, it just becomes even more grandiose down the road. For instance, they gave JFK a haircut and got away. Yep. Everyone covered it up.
Yep.
They even killed his brother.
Yes.
All right. And then you had...
and just recently, they admitted that Mossad and the CIA did it. Yeah. And nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, the NSA and the CIA need to be, pared down to the bare minimum and rebuilt from the ground up. The top 3 or 4 tiers of leadership need to get sent to Fort Living Room or prison, because you can't trust them. If they've gone rogue once, they'll do it again. Am I wrong?
No, that's absolutely correct. Trump is talking about opening Alcatraz again, which I think is a wonderful idea. I'd like to be the warden, please. I volunteer. How do I do that? Um,
I don't want to be involved in that kind of bad karma.
now I understand. And besides, imagine the hauntings there.
Oh, yeah.
Woo, kitties.
Ooh.
So basically, all of this really started in earnest. And there's going to be people who argue it started during the Civil War. And I see your point, but relax. We need a starting point for the modern era. Okay. And the modern era is essentially 1913, the 16th Amendment, and income tax. Now, a lot of people don't know that President Taft wrote a letter to Congress basically saying the Supreme Court has said 3 different times in 3 different decisions that income tax is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this in 1910. He said, so what we're going to do is override all of that. There's what's called the apportionment clause in the Constitution, which says you can't just put a flat tax per capita on people's heads. It's in the Constitution. You can't do that. It has to be apportioned by the population of the states.
Okay.
That's what apportionment means.
So you're saying like a standard sales tax would be unconstitutional?
No.
No?
No, I'm talking about specifically income tax.
Okay.
Sales tax is just sales tax.
Well, the thing with
That's-
income tax,
That's commerce.
that was never properly ratified, if I
No.
recall.
And it was supposed to be temporary during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only a tax on people who made it over a certain amount. It was only 2%.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Supreme Court went, no, that's no good. Got rid of it. Then they tried to install income tax again. Supreme Court again said no. And then in a case called Pollock v. Farmer in 1968, I want to say, the Supreme Court said just no, period, no, knock it the F off.
Question? What major event took place within 2 years of the income tax in 1916?
Oh, well, we're getting to that, see.
Yeah.
We're getting to that, see.
Yes.
Because the kickoff for the modern era of what we're facing now is the 16th Amendment. And it was literally, you could go back and read the history and the documents around it. I've read a bunch of them. It was literally written to subvert SCOTUS's decision on income tax. That's why it's there. To totally subvert the Constitution to force income tax upon us. Now, their excuse was it was going to be temporary, and it was for World War I, which
2
was starting
weeks
to heat up. Yep.
to flatten the curve.
2 weeks to flatten the curve. They use the same logic over and over and over again. They do this shit.
Yeah. And listen, because of that income tax, it fueled the war machine for World War I, World War II, and every major conflict since then.
Now, let's go with World War I, which had been brewing right around 1913. The climate was there.
So wait.
Yeah.
You're saying there was strife in Europe, and that led to a world war. And in 1800s, there was strife in Europe, which led to a virtual whole continent war. And
America wasn't in the game
No.
the time, or America would have been involved.
The same thing happened in the 1700s between France and England.
I know, weird shit.
Are we seeing a pattern here?
It's odd. And I am going to do the unspeakable, and I don't care. Because in, I believe it was 1915, when the war was beginning to really kick off, the individual by the name of Rothschild, who had great influence in Germany and the banking sector and Austria.
No.
And a couple of other places, Switzerland, I believe he was based out of, approached the British Foreign Office because Britain was getting their butts kicked in World War I initially. Yes, they were. They were getting their butts kicked initially.
Yes, they were.
Britain kept trying to get the United States involved. Well, the United States, to the tune of 97%, wanted nothing at all to do with World War I. United States was primarily an agrarian nation. We were farmers for the most part. Didn't want anything to do with the war, but here comes Rothschild to the British Foreign Office and says, hey, if you give me Palestine
Uh-huh.
as a Jewish homeland.
Now, there's paperwork for this, right?
No, this is the Balfour Declaration.
Yeah.
It's literally in the Balfour Declaration.
Correct.
Okay, this is a written historical record. So YouTube, you if you ding us on this, because this is written historical records. You give us Palestine, and I will talk to my friend Martin Brandeis, who is a Supreme Court justice who has the ear of Wilson.
Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
What did Palestine become? Azrael?
A place
A place.
that it's controversial to speak of on the YouTubes.
Or any tube, yeah.
Yeah. At any rate, that's what happened. That's what got us into the war. That's why 325,000 young American men were sacrificed on the battlefields of Europe in a war that we had nothing to do with at all.
Well, I
There
believe
was no reason for the
no,
U.S.
stand
to be
by.
Okay.
Some of the excuses, we were getting some of our ships torpedoed.
Okay, so bear with me.
Okay.
Bear with me, okay?
Let's go down the
Okay.
memory hole.
Let's use an incident where you'll have some context. We're on a street
Uh-huh.
in Washington in the years like, what was it, 1992, 1990?
We're talking about the shootout.
I am.
That was 1989 or 1990.
Okay, so you're with the Rangers across the street and the dope dealers across the street, and you guys are going at it, right? And here comes me, your neighbor from down the street, walking boxes of ammo up to their door and setting them on their porch. Are you going to allow me to continue to do that, or are you going to shoot me in the ass, maybe?
You might get scuffed up a bit.
Probably get scuffed up a bit.
Yeah.
We were supplying Germany's enemies. Of course, they were going to go for our boats. I'm
not saying it was a wrong thing.
I'm not criticizing you in particular, mind you.
Yeah.
I'm saying the historians. Oh, well, the Germans attacked American ships. We were literally bringing them supplies,
food, vehicles,
ammo, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole deal.
We were bringing them supplies.
Except that there was no Lend-Lease back then. We were selling it to them.
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct. So, of course, the Germans attacked those ships. They were at war.
I would do the same thing.
If somebody starts dumping ammo into my enemy's backyard and I see the car drive away, that car's getting hosed, man.
Next time I see that car,
yeah,
it's going to get smoked.
It's getting a little 240 love.
Yeah. 240 love.
Point blank.
Fair enough.
But that's
that
was the excuse they used to drag us into the war. But the truth was that Rothschild basically gave 325,000 young American lives to England to dispose of on the battlefield in exchange for Palestine so they could form a country in 1948.
And I believe between England and France, we have somewhere between 150 and 180,000 of our service members buried on foreign soil.
Mm-hmm.
They were drafted, and then the government couldn't even pony up enough fucking cash to transport their carcasses home.
Yes. The Silhai program still operates out of Hawaii. I have seen that. I didn't participate in it myself, but it was in our periphery. Because in the signals intelligence world, anything that you communicate when you're outside of the United States, if you're in a threat country, we're going to be watching you.
Correct.
And the Silhai had people in Vietnam and in North Korea. They recovered a bunch of the frozen chosen while I was there.
Oh, so those are the guys who go find the missing in actions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Silhai program.
Yeah. But my thing is this, is we have a problem with people at the top who think they're special. The rules and the laws and the customs of this world do not apply to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they have absolutely no problem marching whole generations of our youth into the meat grinder for their enrichment and embetterment. That is about the worst injustice you can think of.
And right around the time that the whole World War I incident happened, another incident happened that began in 1916 in New York with a particular individual named Lev Bronstein, who was from the Ukraine. He was in New York, and a bunch of bankers there.
Are you going to say the word?
We're not there yet. We haven't even been there yet.
Because I'm going to drink.
But hang on.
Okay.
If you buy now, you'll also get 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution. Because Lev Bronstein is the guy you know as Leon Trotsky.
Mhm.
Yes, that came out of New York. It was bankrolled by New York. They sent him back to Ukraine with the money to start a revolution, which became the Reds, which became, of course, the Bolsheviks.
Wasn't that called the Sudetenland back in the day?
No, that's a different thing.
Okay.
That's a different thing. That was part of Yugoslavia.
Well, because they were fighting
Sudetenland was
over.
part of Yugoslavia. That's World War II.
Well, the thing is Ukraine has been fought over since forever because it's so rich with farmland. Everyone wanted it.
Well, the port of Odessa is there as well, which for the Black Sea is like the big port. That whole area has been at war for 2,000 years.
And that would be like the Crimea?
Part of it.
Yeah.
Part of
where
Crimea is over
the
there.
charge of the Light Brigade happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. But anyway, Lev Bronstein and the Bolsheviks originated from the Ukraine, planned their stuff in New York, went to Russia with the money they got from the New York bankers, and overthrew the Tsar and imperialist Russia. And then we got 100 million dead and 70 years of misery. While all of that's going on, meanwhile, in Germany, the Weimar period is ramping up, and there's debauchery, and Berlin is like the ultimate city of sin through the 20s.
But after World War I,
right?
That is the entire world,
yep.
Basically dogpiled Germany
yes.
and tried to force them to pay the world's war debt.
Yes, that is correct.
Because they got blamed for it.
Yes.
And that led to what you're talking about.
Right. And inflation and literally wheelbarrows to buy a loaf of bread.
I have to add that. Here, hang on. Yeah. Anger.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, of course, led to the rise of one angry Austrian painter and corporal from World War I who was mustard gassed.
Yes, he received minor mustard gas wounds. Yes. I believe he received a couple shrapnel wounds as well.
I believe he did, but at any rate, our angry painter became the chancellor of Germany.
The angry leader of Germany.
Became the angry leader of Germany. I bet he still painted. I don't know.
What could go wrong?
Really we could have asked him up till about 1968, apparently.
Yeah. Well, he was in Argentina.
I know. At any rate, when that happened, the big group called the Frankfurt School was thrown out of Germany. Most of them went to Switzerland and France. Some of them came to the United States, Columbia University in particular, via Switzerland. And the big one there was a guy named Herbert Marcuse. Mm-hmm. And the dean of the school at Columbia at the time was a guy named Horkheimer.
And what year was this?
1932, specifically.
1930, 1932, yeah.
Yes.
That was when they actually got a major foothold into the university system.
30 to 32 is when the Frankfurt School started to flee. Marcuse himself arrived in 1932 and ended up being the most influential of them. Horkheimer, as the dean of Columbia, was already interested in the Marxist doctrine and the Frankfurt School because of the people who came before that around 1930.
So what you're saying is we had a poisonous fungus blow across the ocean and take root in the United States.
Oy vey, yes.
And we're seeing that poisonous fungus en masse now.
Yes. Now, once you've got the universities being compromised around 1932, that took some time. And the first results of that, in other words, the students, would have taken about 6 years from that point. So now we're at 1938.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those students become teachers. They start producing students. Now we're at about 1940. And it would only take about 2 years for those teachers to... It's a very short period of time once the teachers get in there. I don't mean professors.
No, I
don't mean university professors. I mean high school teachers.
Well, the trickle down, you probably started seeing it at the beginning of the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
And who was that one FBI guy who hunted communism? What was his name?
FBI guy.
The guy,
Senator
no,
McCarthy?
the guy who ran the FBI,
Hoover was a drag queen.
Yeah, I know, but he started really cracking down on the communism, and then McCarthy was going after it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone thought, they went along with it in the beginning, and they're like, well, this is crazy, it's not happening. But it's like literally re-tricking everyone into believing the devil didn't exist again.
Yeah. That now you know.
And now you know
the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Who's the radio voice that did that? What was that, guys?
Was it Walter Cronkite?
No, it was not Walter Cronkite. I can't remember who that guy was.
I don't remember.
At any rate, here's the important part. Now the Marxists and the Bolsheviks have a foothold in our school system.
Yes.
Now that starts to trickle into Citadel, Mississippi, West Point. Those are our big military academies.
I mean, we just had that
the big military academy.
We had that one guy wearing that Che Guevara shirt when he graduated West Point.
Yeah.
And it literally said communism is going to win.
In his hat, written inside of his hat.
Yeah. Listen, and these guys, he's not the only one.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of general officers out there who believe the same way, who need to get shown the fucking door.
Well, this is the point where this really, truly began, was the mid-1940s. And by 1950, when you got Eisenhower, who was a screaming homosexual, if you look at his photographs, it's obvious, okay? The guy's a fairy.
Yes.
Ike was a fairy. And Patton mysteriously gets killed after saying, we fought the wrong enemy. And all of a sudden he has a Jeep accident and then dies mysteriously.
No, I don't think
Paul Harvey. Yeah.
No, it was an actual car accident. It wasn't a Jeep accident, I believe.
There's a Jeep involved. I'm positive that there was a Jeep involved.
He might have hit a Jeep, but he was in the car. It was in the staff car.
At any rate. At any rate.
And his neck got mysteriously broken.
Yeah.
How old was he? Like 58?
It wasn't that old.
Wasn't that old?
Was not that old.
So we're talking about a guy who raced his entire army across Germany under fire to assist with the Battle of the Bulge to contain the German counterattack. Survived hundreds of artillery attacks, strafings, being shot at, and then mysteriously at the end of the war, there's a fender bender where he breaks his neck. Yeah. I don't believe it.
Somebody in the chat says he died from a broken collarbone. Which probably is in the medical record just like that. I'll bet you it is.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, now we're into 1950, 1951. This is when the Red Scare begins and McCarthy starts going at it, saying there's communists all over the fucking place. Let me tell you why Joe McCarthy was wrong. It was way, way worse than he thought it was.
Uh-huh.
This is the point in time where they use a really duplicitous trick. Because in the public, remember hiding under your desk for a nuclear drill? Like that was going to do anything?
We never did that.
You never did nuke drills?
No.
Dude, we did nuke drills. Wow. Where you hide under your desk or you go hide out in the hallway?
We went in the hallway, but they called it a tornado warning drill.
But there was the whole, we could say better red than dead. And calling somebody a commie was actually an insult.
A bad thing.
Right. While they're doing that, at the exact same time, in the government, the senators and politicians and little bureaucrats, the little hired henchlings that are already communists.
The deep state?
There you go. Are laughing at people like McCarthy and mocking him and turning him into a joke. The guy drank himself to death.
Wow.
Because of all the pressure from all of this. What do you...
Men drink themselves to death.
No. This guy drank himself to death because of the pressure. It's documented.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if I hadn't occurred to my drinking, I would have drank myself to death as well.
Take your thumb out of your rectum. Stay focused.
Okay.
At any rate, that's where communism simultaneously became the greatest enemy and the biggest joke. Once that started, our government just became more and more compromised because what they did was the slow walk through the institutions. Well, they had just captured the schools.
Well, hang on.
And the universities.
But they always do the same. It's like the same playbook.
Yeah.
Fear.
Yep.
Fear is the number one thing to get
Yes.
the sheeple to fall in line.
Yep, we're getting there.
Confusion, ignorance,
Yep.
and panic. Their war years are taking place.
Yep.
During the war years, there's a whole lot of fear, confusion, ignorance, and panic.
Yep.
And they just took advantage of that and slowly took away your freedoms a little at a time.
Yep.
And you didn't notice.
Yep.
And here we are today.
Well, back in 1961, a guy named JFK got himself elected president.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been noticing all of that stuff. He said, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of this stuff. And I don't want this little country over here in the Levant that used to be Palestine to have nukes
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of other things. And the documents have just come out. We know who did this, and nobody's been punished for it yet. And that's when JFK got his famous haircut in Texas in 1963.
Now, this is just my opinion.
Okay.
We know who all the Mossad agents are that are in the country.
No.
You don't think so?
Okay.
Okay.
I know this because I dealt a lot with that world, and it's really hard to find them all. We know who most of them are.
All right. Well,
We know who
in
most
my
of them
opinion, after those JFK documents were released, Trump should have issued a blanket order to have them all deported out of the country. We cannot have that kind of risk walking around.
They own our bureaucracy.
Yeah, you're correct. And
APAC.
well, they're behind, what is it, USAID and,
Act Blue.
Act Blue, Win Red.
All of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, look, if you think Act Blue is the only corrupt side,
Yeah.
I got ripped off at almost $1,800 from Win Red.
Yeah.
I gave them a $60 donation and it turned into $1,800 fucking dollars.
Yeah. They kept billing you, didn't they?
$600 a month.
Yeah.
I got like 1,000 of it back. I might have to file small claims.
Yeah.
Court. I'll probably file in small claims, call a reporter, get it on the news, and they will cut me a check faster. They could fart in a windstorm.
I don't donate to any political organization because
I never will
so
again.
well concealed now.
Yeah, I never will do it again.
They're so well concealed now. So after JFK got his haircut, a couple of guys named Hart, sadly from Detroit, that's what Hart Plaza is named after down there.
Yep.
And Hart-Celler came up with the 1965 Hart-Celler Act. Where did
Wasn't that shortly after JFK got his brains exposed to the
this
universe?
is 1965.
Yeah, he got smoked in what, 63?
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
Hang on here.
So 1963,
What did I
he
do?
cashed in his meat suit for its mineral deposit.
Here, you go through that list real quick while I find something here.
All right, what list would you like me to go through?
Well, the one right there on the board.
Oh, okay. So here we are at the
Zach.
Hart-Celler Act, and this is the JFK haircut. And then shortly thereafter, they got his brother because he himself was
Bobby. Yeah.
He was basically chiming in on the exact same stuff his brother was that got him killed.
Yep.
And he wanted to audit the Fed. They can't have that. Even today, I don't think Doge has actually been able to get at the Fed as of yet.
Yep.
Because they are literally making up numbers and lying to us because we're no longer on the gold standard for, I don't know, what is it, 5 decades?
That's what
6
happened in
decades?
1913. Gold became illegal. You couldn't own gold. You had to turn all of your gold in. Anybody who did was a complete moron.
Yeah, I would not. I would totally keep it. They could fuck off.
But yeah, I would have kept it too. So here is Los Hart-Celler Act. Let's take a look at this. On this date, in a ceremony at the base of the Statue of Liberty, President Johnson signed into law the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, commonly known as the Hart-Celler Act. This was the first spear in the back of the United States population itself.
Now, hang on.
This was the first attack on us.
Before this, what was the immigration system?
The immigration system it was very hard to get into the United States. You had to prove that you had somewhere to go. You had to prove that you had a job. You had to be from a Western country.
Or have something of value.
Or have something of value. There was a whole list of countries that could not emigrate to the United States. That's because we had a culture and we wanted to keep that culture. Emanuel Celler authored this and basically got Gary Hart to back him. And it dismantled. This is the moment that the fabric of the United States was dismantled. At this point in time, the United States is 91% white.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a white country. What's wrong with that? I like Indians to be in India. If I go to India to see India, I don't want to see Lithuanians.
Nope.
If I go to Japan, I don't want to see Kurds.
And, well, first of all,
You know,
a lot of those other countries, you can't even emigrate there
No.
if you are not part of their culture or race.
That's correct.
You can't do it.
Yep.
It will not allow. You can visit.
Yes.
You can be a resident who lives there for a few years,
Mhm.
but you're not going to get citizenship.
No.
Unless you're willing to maybe bribe some people and come out of pocket for a lot of money.
Yep.
Other than that, you're done. It's not going to happen.
Yep. For decades, a federal quota system had severely restricted the number of people from outside of Western Europe eligible to settle in the United States. Passed during the height of the Cold War, Hart-Celler erased America's long-standing policy of limiting integration based on national origin. 40 years of testing have proven that the rigid pattern of discrimination has not only produced imbalances that have irritated many nations, but Congress itself, through a long series of enactments forced by the realities of a changing world, saw fit to modify this unworkable formula so that today it remains on the books primarily as an expression of gratuitous condescension. So what that says there in all of its grandiose political gobbledygook is this is DEI 1.0.
Yep.
This is DEI 1.0.
Yeah, it should be deport every illegal.
It should be deport every. I want to roll it back to 1965. I'm sorry. I appreciate that you grew up here, that you were born here, but you have a country and it's time for you to go make that country great. You grew up here. You know how it all works. Go make good.
You know that's not going to happen.
I realize it's not going to happen, but that's my stance on the whole thing.
I get you.
Really roll it all the way back.
I get you. Well, listen.
Yeah.
If the economy crashes and everyone packs up by race,
Yep,
it could get quite ugly for some people.
It could get very ugly for some people. So once that happened, Congress erected a legal framework that prioritized highly skilled immigrants and opened the door for people with family already living in the United States. Oh, look, the beginnings of chain migration.
Yes.
The popular bill passed the House 318 to 95, you idiots. You treasonous, feckless bastards. The law kept the number of annual visas at 290,000. That was happening in a month a couple of years back, which included a restriction of 20,000 visas per country per year. But policymakers had vastly underestimated the number of immigrants who would take advantage of the family reunification clause, chain migration. In particular, the law created new opportunities for immigrants from Asian nations to join relatives in America. Following Hart-Celler, annual immigration jumped to nearly 500,000 people, and only 20% came from Europe.
Yep. There you go.
That's the first spear in our back, compliments of our own, quote, government.
But are we seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
They're literally watering down the culture of the United States, slowly eroding our freedoms, and using smoke and mirrors to make that happen.
Yeah, this has been planned for a long time, about 115 years. Or
I don't
120 years.
Maybe there was like an overarching, evil genius plan.
No, there's a goal, but as time went on, they, like we said,
have
at the
to
beginning
change
of the show, they adapted and changed, and it took them. They realized they had to capture our universities.
Basically, the school system in general.
And
I think a lot of that had to do with the Department of Education, which really put it into overdrive.
That was 1974.
That was Jimmy Carter, wasn't it?
Under Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
74 or 76? 76? Which is really ironic because that was our bicentennial.
And Jimmy Carter also what made it possible for China to grow as rapidly.
He was a weak-willed little pussy. I don't care who says what. The man was a weak-willed little pussy.
Well, he was a terrible president, and he was a terrible politician, but he had a good heart. And
I think he had a good heart. I really genuinely think he meant well from everything I've read.
Well, the thing is he had a good heart, and I think they took advantage of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, because I put that in here. Weaponizing compassion.
Yep.
It's on the list, compassion.
Absolutely. So
and like all of this waves and waves of immigration we've seen for the past decade, a little over a decade.
Yep.
They always fall back on, well, they're suffering and we could take care of them. Again, our compassion is being weaponized against us and we're fucking paying for it. Because mercy is cheap, compassion is fucking expensive.
let me give you a really good example of how to lie with statistics.
Oh, yeah.
This chart right here. The United States began regulating immigration soon after it won independence from Great Britain. The laws since enacted have reflected the politics and migrant flows of the time. Early legislation tended to impose limits that favored Europeans, but a sweeping 1965 law opened doors to immigrants from other parts of the world. In more recent years, laws and presidential actions have been shaped by concerns about refugees, unauthorized immigration, in other words, illegal immigration, and terrorism. None of these people are refugees from anything. They're refugees from my country sucks, gimme.
That's right. Now, typically, you can be a refugee if you come from one country into a neighboring country. You cannot be a refugee if you jump that chain in any way. You're not a refugee, you're an immigrant.
International law, and you being in civil affairs should have had this class as well, states that a refugee must accept the first
Safe
available
harbor.
port, safe harbor.
Yep,
There is no, I get to go 10,000 miles.
correct. Or no, hit him. You
Across a
you
continent,
jump.
Europe.
Well, first of all, you cross a continent,
Yeah.
an ocean,
In an ocean.
come through to another continent, travel the length of that through several countries just to get to America.
And the most dangerous pass in the Americas, the Darian Gap.
Yep. Which they were assisted in crossing by NGOs
Yes.
who were paid for with our tax
USA.
dollars. So whenever tax dollars are paid for something, it's no longer a non-governmental organization.
Some of our guys had footage of
Yeah.
96 civil affairs guys down there assisting the refugees.
Correct.
96 civil affairs, for those of you out there who don't know, is civil affairs, yes, but they're the special operations civil affairs guys. They're the hearts and minds guys.
That's where the Green Berets go to die.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we do with Green Berets when they are no longer functional in the field.
That's right. When they get old and broken and
Yeah.
crusty.
You're going to the 96. Have a good time.
I went to 414 Civil Affairs.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yep.
This is what I want to see happen. All of the commanding officers that had anything to do with that Darian Gap shit,
Yeah,
need to be shown the door.
Yeah.
We do not need you.
Yep. Needs to be looked in.
Now, listen, first of all, in the military, they always harp on character, bravery, honesty. They go through this whole litany of stuff that they want the soldiers to follow, right? But the chain of command, the officers don't do that at all. It is a complete travesty.
Yes, you're correct. Now, back to lying with statistics here real fast. Oh, hey, look at that.
We got Jimmy?
We have an early arrival of the button-pushing monkey.
The Turner Jimmy.
What's happening, my rowdy riggers?
How you doing? First, I want to get to this graph here. From approximately 1840 to roughly 1920, it looks like you've got a big surge in immigration. It says population of the U.S. that is foreign-born. Now, here's the lie. Those immigrants were all from the countries that pretty much founded the United States of America. England, France, the Netherlands, the Dutch.
Irish.
The Irish came later, in the late 50s.
During the potato famine.
A lot of them came over in the 40s during the potato famine, 1840s, mind you.
1840s, yeah.
All of these are European countries. And then there's a dip in immigration you can see after 1950, right around 1960. And all of a sudden it skyrockets again. But that skyrocket right there is all Africans, Central Americans, and Asians. Completely changing the demographics of the United States. Now,
well, hang on. One of the reasons you can do that is to sow division.
Yes.
And once you have faults in a
correct.
population, you can attack it and destroy it.
Yes. Yep, that is exactly correct. Now, we've got a guy in the chat that I have to address because it's apropos and he deserves to be addressed correctly in this scenario. I said that I wanted to roll the Hart-Celler Act all the way back,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm talking about bulk migration. Every country has always had people from other countries who migrated there and successfully fit in and
Yes.
paid their dues and did their thing.
Which I don't have a
And-
problem with.
Getting to that, especially those who join our warrior class and prove themselves in battle alongside of us shoulder to shoulder. Those people are welcome. They clearly want to be there.
Yes.
I'm talking about the gimmigrants,
Yes.
the ones who come here and expect EBT and all of that stuff.
Hang on. I gotta write that down.
Immigrants.
Immigrants.
That's what I'm specifically addressing. You always have people like you, International House of Whoop Ass. Yes, I see you right there. You weren't born in the States, but you came over here and you did the thing, man. You joined our culture and you fought alongside of our brothers and you paid your dues and you did so willingly and you fit in. So you're welcome. I'm specifically talking about the boatloads of immigrants.
Well, here's another thing: is we shouldn't make it easy for you to come here
Yeah,
and not
Be
assimilate.
hard.
You should be listen. We shouldn't have any other languages other than English.
Yep.
We shouldn't have to like push 2 for Spanish. No.
Yeah, French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
You're learning French, motherfucker,
That's
period.
Yeah. By the
There's
time
no-
you get done with
Yeah.
their basic and AIT, you will speak basic French.
They give you 3 weeks
There you go.
to learn basic French.
Yep.
Like I said, if you're willing to bleed alongside me shoulder to shoulder on a battlefield, you're good enough. Point blank.
Yep. I don't have a problem with that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, that's it. That's, when I say these things about the whole immigration issue, it's about the boatloads and boatloads and boatloads that we're seeing now. That
Literally.
it's human carpet bombing. It is designed to disrupt and destroy our culture.
Well, also, first of all, it's divisive.
Mhm.
It's burning through a lot of our resources that we don't need to be spending, which is paid for by the tax payer.
Mhm.
All right. And here, another thing that I want to mention here, and it's a little off topic, are these sanctuary cities.
Yeah.
California is having a shortage of billions of dollars in their budget because they gave all that money away to
Yes.
illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Same thing in New York State.
Yep.
Massive blue states who want socialism/communism
Yes.
and gave our tax dollars to illegal immigrants, and now they're running out of money and they're begging our federal government to bail them out for their bad decisions. I say fuck off.
Yeah.
No more tax dollars for you.
Here's
Figure
the
it
thing
the fuck out.
Here's the thing about socialism. On a very tiny scale, and I mean like a farm or a small village,
Or
soci-
Sweden, not very big. Iceland.
socialism can work, but socialism requires a healthy host nation
Mm-hmm.
because socialism can never provide all of the stuff that it needs for itself by design. It has to parasite off of something. And in the case of Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
and Iceland, they parasite off of the EU. If you go look at their government, they don't make all of their money themselves. They get subsidies from the EU.
Yep.
Sweden's medical is collapsing. England's has collapsed.
All right.
England's medical industry has collapsed.
Stand by.
Standing by.
All right. A lot of these countries that had free medical care,
Yes.
they were able to afford that because they weren't spending their GDP on the NATO forces, their own self-defense. They're
Yes.
relying on the United States having a large military presence in Europe up until even to today.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, we don't have to spend our 3 to 5% GDP because America's here and they'll do it for us. They're the police force to the world
Yes.
and they can afford it.
82% of NATO we paid.
Yes.
Same for the UN.
We need to get the hell out of the UN and NATO.
Yep.
In my opinion. If they want to be a bunch of parasitic idiots, then God bless them, have at it. I'm not participating. I don't want to get sucked into your wars. I don't want to give you anything.
Yep.
If you want to buy our weapons, you better pay up.
Mhm.
And if we don't like you, you're going to pay a premium. That's just the way it is. But again, This happened in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s. Instability in Europe, bullshit taking place, and then we get sucked into a fucking major war. It is going to happen again in some way, shape, or form, except maybe this time it'll be China, Taiwan, or India and Pakistan, or Russia versus some of the EU. I do not want to go to any funerals for any servicemen because we sent our youth, blood, and treasure overseas to go fight for something that's none of our fucking business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So after all of that and the Hart-Celler Act, we get into the 70s and the 80s, and right around the 1980s, there's this big surge of horror movies. Remember that?
Fear porn.
If you go back and watch all of those, there's one called Manitou about a bear who gets doused at a factory's sluice with the toxic runoff and mercury and turns into this skinless, savage werebear monster thing.
I remember that.
Manitou.
There was a couple Manitou movies.
Right, exactly. If you go back and watch, it's the catalyst for pushing industry out of the United States of America. We make nothing anymore. We have no steel mills. We've got no lumber mills.
That's right.
Worth speaking of. It's all been farmed overseas.
Okay, hang on.
Every one of these movies had an underlying theme in there somewhere. Even Revenge of the Nerds, if you watch Revenge of the Nerds, it's about putting down white people. The whole movie.
Yeah, well, the East Coast was very, very heavy in industry back in the day, all the way up to Maine. There's all kinds of small
textile
factories.
Capital of the world.
Yeah, textiles, furniture, tools.
Yeah.
When I was in New York State, there's factory after factory that are still vacant to this day that made implements for, like, we're talking farm equipment, hand tools. There was one factory I went to with my buddy Sergeant Sportello that used to make all of the Pioneer tools for the U.S. Army. All of the tools that were underneath the Humvee or in a box in the back of your truck. The Pickaxe 1, the Pickaxe 2, you had a shovel, you had a wrench set, the tire irons, all of the jacks were all made at this little factory that's no longer there now.
Yeah.
And all of those jobs went over fucking seas.
Now, look, did some of those industries have toxic runoff? We know they did.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, fuck yeah, they did.
We know they did.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of incidents that came around, and it was at the same period in the 70s and the 80s that a lot of that stuff was pushed to the top of the political stack as coin. There was 3 Mile Island. There was one here in Michigan, in Shelby. There was some toxic waste dump.
Well, they had one on
that happened.
They had one on 696 just a few years ago.
Yeah,
a guy was running a chrome plating factory.
Yeah.
And he was just storing the shit in his basement. It was leaking into the water table.
Yeah. Now, look, that stuff happened. But what you should do is you should admit it. You should stop that. You should police that. You don't shut down whole industries when a handful of them are committing crimes. You make them stop and clean up their mess.
Mm-hmm. Or if it's bad enough, you just...
Or shut them down.
You throw the people on the board in fucking prison.
Yeah.
Make an example so that it doesn't fucking happen again.
Don't shut down a whole country's industry, which is what has happened here in the United States.
Why do you think
we have nothing anymore?
Well, stand by. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they were pushing for the living wage at fast food restaurants? Because they've already run out all of the living wage jobs. I mean, you can look in any newspaper, any mainstream media source, and there's just article after article of the youth of today can't afford to buy houses or live because they can't get the jobs to make the money so they can support themselves.
Yeah.
And mainly the Democrats and the Republicans get paid off and allow big industry to move the jobs over fucking seas.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go. Then after that happened in the 70s and the 80s, you had the tech boom that started in the mid 80s, carried through the 90s, and you had the huge tech bubble where people made millions and then lost their asses overnight.
Overnight, yeah.
like instantly.
Well,
And
the
it
big
was the
thing behind-
craziest thing in the world.
Well, no, as a financial planner,
Okay,
okay, the whole thing with that is
financially plan us.
you get a .com.
Yeah.
All right, you come up with a business plan.
Mhm.
You raise a whole shit ton of money to get that off the ground. Then you do an IPO. That's basically where
Initial public offer.
where you take the stock, you sell it to the public. And usually it starts off at a medium level estimated price of what the stock should be worth. And you literally watch a lot of these .coms. They start off at nothing, and all of a sudden they raise that money, they go public, they get like 80, 90 million worth of value, but they don't really do anything because they're a .com, meaning they don't have a factory, they don't have any physical assets. It's all made up, make-believe value, and then you just see a boo, and then a few people in the beginning rode it up to the top, and on the way down, they sold all that shit, but they kept all that profit. And a lot of people who bought in wrote it down to nothing, and they got screwed.
Yes.
So that's how that worked. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's the knowledge we want. That's why you come here to Redonkulas.
Yeah.
We know things.
We know things, and
And
we'll
we
tell you
drink.
the truth in a very unpolished,
right.
vulgar way.
We know things and we drink.
You fucking fucks.
You fucking fucker fucks. So that all happens. Meanwhile, the schools have become completely controlled.
No. The schools became a cabal for communism and control.
Basically what I just said. You just said
Well,
it a couple
but that was in the 70s. If you thought it was bad back in the 70s and 80s, you just wait till after 2010.
Wait. The 90s was the period where there are no real teachers left. All you have are indoctrinators.
The talking heads.
The last of the good teachers, like the ones that we had, have retired.
They retired by the late 90s.
Yes. That's that period there. And then 9/11 happens. And I know there's a bunch of people out there, 9/11, you want to go on about it. This isn't a 9/11 show.
Yes.
This isn't. We all know that there was fuckery afoot. Okay, I'll be the first one to tell you that fuckery was afoot during 9/11.
And I seriously believe Mossad was involved in that as well.
I was working for no such agency when that happened.
Yep.
So I know fuckery was afoot. Now,
Smurf the balls, man.
smurfing balls. The Bolshevik.
There, I said it. Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks. Now drink.
Drink.
I realize that was completely out of context, but I just want to make sure you were paying attention. 9/11 happens 28 days later. 28 days later, the Patriot Act is passed. TSA is created. 2 or 3 new government agencies are created. And it is like a smooth, streamlined process. And what's the problem here? The government never does anything smooth and streamlined, which means what?
One, it's never smooth and streamlined. And 2, whatever it is, there's a bureaucrat is going to weaponize that against the common man.
Yes.
Every single fucking time. Because guess what? The people who become those bureaucrats, for the most part, were the guys who got sand kicked in their face when they were young, and they want a little payback at the world. They get a little power, and they go hog fucking wild. And there's no accountability for them.
No.
They're not elected. It's virtually impossible to fire public employees now, which is a big mistake.
The bureaucracy has been captured.
Yes.
The bureaucracy is now managed, essentially governed by these new generation communists, Marxists, and Bolsheviks. That's who's running it. They don't allow anybody who is not ideologically compliant into their ranks.
Correct.
Which is how they maintain control.
Now, what was that?
Are elected.
What was that one group that was attached to the CCP? It's like a school that all of the bureaucrats have gone to. I don't remember the name. Oh, we've covered it a couple times. Something, God, I can't remember.
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to remember. I'm having a
How's
brain
that
injury.
working out for you?
It's not working out for the
I'm
posture.
dying to know. You should have heard him in the car earlier. We're going along, and he's like, "Yeah, you should come over at like 3:30 one day so we could like do the green screen thing, and we could do some sewing." And I
Yeah.
stopped, and I go, "Fuck it!"
Is the school you're thinking of the Central Party School there, Paul?
That's it.
Yeah, Central
That's it,
Party.
Central
School.
Party.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is pushed by the China Entrepreneur Club, which is basically the psychological operations wing of the CCP that uses economics as their vehicle. I've got the entire China Entrepreneur Club mapped out. You can see where they own companies, they own movie studios, they own funds, all of these things. And that's how they influence Americans and get to them and bring them into that
In
school.
civil affairs, one of our common sayings is money is a weapon.
Yes.
I mean, the reason a lot of civil affairs teams got jumped in Afghanistan and Iraq,
They thought we had money.
well, sometimes you do have a lot of money on you.
Mhm.
Not all the time. Most of the times you don't. But when I was in Iraq, I was there as a first sergeant for an airborne infantry company, but we actually tasked some of our guys to do security convoys as they moved billions of dollars around Iraq. Billions of dollars with a B.
I'm not sure that I could not something federal crime something.
I'm just saying. A lot of that got converted into the Iraqi play money.
Yeah.
And that got moved around
Mhm.
because that's harder to actually, track and inventory when
Mhm.
you want to grease some palms to make something happen. Because they'll tell there's many times they looked in my face, go, you can't support corruption in any way, shape, or form. And don't pay attention to the people over my shoulder who are giving people hundreds of thousands of dollars in funny monopoly Iraqi money. Because that's just not happening. Get out of here.
Look, the whole honest business dealings thing is one very new concept in the human record. And two, it is honestly, from what I have seen, almost exclusive to a period of America dating from about the 30s to the late 80s.
Okay.
And even then we had bribery problems. We always had some sort of bribery going on.
You're going to have all of that take place.
Yep.
Because we're evil, hairless monkeys.
Yep.
And money is the root of all evil.
Yep. Fact.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So after the schools sort of fall, after the tech bubble and 9/11 happens, now the real invasion begins. This has been a unique episode in that we haven't had to rely too much on our tabs.
But now we are.
Well, I'm looking for one in particular here. First of all, let's talk about Bill Gates has been doing this.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to dust the entire United Kingdom and block sunlight out there to help climate change. The only problem is when you block out the sun, you kill crops, which leads to famine. Now, we used to know about this in the 1980s because it was part of our whole fear of nuclear war thing, and we called it nuclear
winter. Yeah.
So I started reading Bill Gates's stuff here and some of the other expert reveals. Anytime they say expert reveals or experts agree, you know you're being fed propaganda.
First of all,
standard propaganda line.
Consensus.
Yep.
It's not spelled right, I know, but
you never spell anything.
That's
right
what
now.
it is. Consensus.
No. Consensus.
The consensus believes in this, so you must follow along.
Right.
Fuck off.
Yep.
I'll drink the hemlock and be right.
Yeah. I started looking at that and going back over the old nuclear winter stuff and realizing what I think is going on in Bolshevik Russia. They were able to put all the farmers in prison camps. They took their land away from them and then just put people from the cities on the farms.
who didn't know how to do it.
who didn't know how to farm.
Where have we seen that happen?
Where have we
before?
seen that before?
Would that be Zimbabwe?
So millions starved to death.
Yeah.
Millions starved to death. Well, they can't do that now. They're trying to. That's why all of the family farms are taken down. That's why farming has become so hard and so expensive that only the big industrial farming companies can really afford to farm now.
Yeah.
That's why that's happening.
Well, all of the regulations, all of that put in place to choke out the little guy. Because if you can grow your own food and you can take care of yourself, what do you have in abundance? Freedom.
Yep.
And they hate freedom.
Yes.
And I talked about that
Yes.
on my intro speech.
Yep. And with this atmospheric control nonsense that Bill Gates is trying to, it's becoming increasingly clear that we will fail to meet our climate goals. We are already 1.26 degrees warmer in 2022 and on track to blow through 1.56 degrees in the mid-2030s. People, that's, for those of you who can't convert very quickly, about 2.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was 66 degrees. Now it's 68 degrees. Oh, noes.
What the thing is they pull out the ice samples that go back thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. The CO2 levels and the temperatures, they fluctuate. There's always a
We
climate
studied
change.
climate epochs.
Yeah.
In school when we were kids. They used to teach climate epochs.
And a lot of this might have something to do with the fact that the sun goes through its own cycles.
Yeah. I would bank on that. We cover approximately 3.7% of the planet, human beings.
Correct.
If the Earth wanted to get rid of us, dinosaurs, hello, the Earth could just go, you guys are boring. We'd be gone. There'd be nothing we could do about it.
We would get flicked off of this like a booger.
Spinning globe of mud.
That's right. This ball of filth spinning through space, we would get flicked off like a dried booger.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah. And if you think that hasn't happened before, it has. This whole planet has been existing for somewhere between 4.5 to 5.1 billion years.
Something like that.
Somewhere in that. If you think they know the exact creation date of the Earth, they're out of their fucking mind and somebody's lying to you.
Yep. At any rate,
yeah,
they want to use nuclear winter to kill the crops to starve the people. That's what I believe right now. That is my current working theory.
Well,
is that they're going to use a form of nuclear winter to cause crop devastation in as many Western countries as possible to kill off as many people as possible.
Correct. As per the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes. They want 500 million.
We have covered that. We've covered that quite a few times.
Which brings us to population decline will change the world for the better. A future with fewer people offers increased opportunity and a healthier environment. China's population has fallen.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that is actually true? Once you get there, maybe. Once you get to your 1 billion or half a billion people. But what is the world going to be like when you go from 8 billion people to 1 billion people? That is a whole lot of death and fucking chaos that is going to take place because most people, and I'm one of them, are not going to go gently into that good night. I'm sorry.
So here's the thing, and we covered this on another show too, with the whole birth rate myth.
Yeah.
The population of the United States has exploded 180 million people since 1946. We had 146 million people at the end of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
We fought a whole fucking war with 146 million people and kicked everybody's ass. This population is surplus. So the idea that the population is decreasing is really no big deal because we only need, and we've demonstrated this repeatedly, no more than 146 million. That's what we fought World War II with, which is the biggest war the planet has ever seen.
But the thing is that 140 million people need to be hyper productive because that's how they were back then.
Yes, we were.
People today are not that built like that anymore because of the education and all the other shit.
Hard times produce strong men. Strong men produce good times. Good times produce weak men.
Correct.
Weak men produce hard times.
And that's where we are right now. We're in the fourth turning.
Yes. That's what's going on. That's why we don't have those people. We'll have them again. We just need to right the ship and hang a few people.
Listen, we need to, I shouldn't say we need to. I would like to see Darwin go into overdrive because there's a lot of individuals that, in my opinion, there's no net benefit to having them around.
No, there's a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare, freaking 16th century, first kill the lawyers.
Yep.
Wait, the Bible, lawyers are bad. Wait, Aristotle, the lawyers are a pain in the ass and should be killed. Okay.
I can't argue with that.
all the way back 2,400 years, lawyers are a pain in the ass.
Yes, they are.
But if you look at the timeline behind Pop, you can see what we're talking about here. This has been a slow march through all of the institutions for the last 110 years. There's 110 years there.
Slow creep, authoritarian rule.
Yep.
It's
Starting
right
with the schools. Once you capture the schools and change the children's minds, you can start to change the other institutions, the military, the government, the bureaucracies, the cities, and how they're operated and all of that. Then you can add more and more laws and make something more and more.
Here's another one.
Authoritarian. What's that?
Mainstream media has been preaching since basically 2012 hardcore propaganda at us.
Yes.
And I would say before that as well, repetition.
Yeah.
They just show it in your face on mainstream media over and over on the commercials. You know, it's getting to the point where you can't even turn on a show and have a commercial come on without an interracial family.
Yes.
Or the father being
that's what I'm talking about.
Or the father some kind of idiot and the woman has to step up and fix everything.
Yep.
If you guys want to have some fun, look up the Smith-Mundt Act.
We put that.
That's the one we were talking about. That's exactly what we were talking about. Smith-Mundt Act.
I put it the Mundt Act. I didn't know it was the Smith-Mundt Act.
I think we need to call it the Munging Act.
The Mundt Act of 2012. It got repealed by Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the timeline of basically how all of this happened. What we are dealing with now is the ideologically captured. And it is basically Stockholm syndrome on steroids.
Or
where your captive starts to empathize with their captors.
So what you're trying to say, it is an Obama nation.
That's gay. That's gay.
He's the one that overturned the Smith-Mundt Act.
I know.
And that was done for a nefarious purpose so they could legally push their bullshit on you, which they have in spades.
That was gay enough, though, that I think we should have Mike Obama drag her nutsack across your forehead.
You are fined 1 homo suspicion point for violation of the Man Code Morality Statute.
Jimmy,
oh my!
Never changed, Jimmy.
I couldn't take it anymore. There's just too much Big Mike and too much dragging of nuts that points have been assessed.
That's fair. That's fair. We earned that one. So the
oh my God, that was funny.
It's Stockholm syndrome on an industrial scale. I started noticing it some years back. I never tried to articulate it until just recently, after an encounter with one of my sisters who was completely ideologically captured, and a couple of other people. Basically, okay, objectively speaking, this is a purple dick straw. Okay? Somebody who is ideologically captured and has been told repeatedly that this is actually a pink vagina straw and not a purple dick straw will not budge no matter what. You can hand this object to them.
I hit you in the face.
You can hand this object to them and they can look at it themselves and they will deny that it is what it is because they're so ideologically captured that they cannot deviate from their dogma.
Correct.
And it at this point is sadly close to, I would say, 40% of the country.
Yeah.
is that ideologically
Well, they're
captured.
useful idiots. I mean, why do you think I don't even deal with my D&D friends or associates that I used to call friends back in the day?
Yeah.
Because they're fucking fried.
Yep.
They literally bought hook, line, and sinker the propaganda, and they believe it now.
Yep.
And I cannot be around them. I'm gonna do the call out here. All right, it's time for the announcement. We've been demonetized beyond all rhyme and reason. This channel is basically pulling in 10% of what it used to back in the day, and a lot of that revolves around being shadow banned and what have you by YouTube. So please like and share this video if you like the content. We cover it a little differently through the eyes of, two guys who worked in the intel world and two grunts who've been on the ground for a while. We've seen the propaganda up close and personal. But any little bit that you send in to help us, keep the ship rolling forward goes a long, long way, and we appreciate it. We're up to 562 men saved from suicide using nothing but logic, comedy, and reason. And I would like to keep that going. But unfortunately, we're feeling the pinch. So whatever you can do to help out, greatly appreciated. Now let's continue on.
I have to. This wasn't a super chat, but we apparently have a new guy in the room who wants to know why we have purple dick straws. Well, we have blue dick straws. We have flesh-colored dick straws.
What?
We have yellow dick straws.
What about the white one?
White dick straws, brown dick straws, and black dick straws. Okay? We don't discriminate. We don't just have purple dick straws. I got a whole fucking cup full of dick straws right here, buddy.
Yeah, listen, man.
Welcome to the regiment.
There's
It's fun here.
There's a bunch of weird traditions with this channel. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that shit. Now, in regards
Excuse me, I have to pick my dicks up off the floor.
In regards to last Thursday, I had a family situation take place. As you guys know, my mother is in a rest home, and she suffers from pretty severe dementia. I dare say Alzheimer's. But if anyone's ever had a relative that suffers with that, you get like moments of clarity. Apparently, she was freaking out because she wanted to go home and she couldn't realize why she was in there. I had to go in there and comfort her and have to deal with the please take me home stuff, which is absolutely heartbreaking. And I just couldn't do Thursday, man. I'm sorry. I just was not in a good headspace. Now, barring any craziness on this Thursday, we are going to go to a new format, which will be different, hopefully more entertaining, more focused on comedy and, subjects that appeal to men. There is no show out there anywhere that I've been able to see that is strictly for men. Like they used to have the men's show, and they sold out, and those guys are now working tonight shows on various networks. But there is no man show. There's nobody making, doing that dirty, nasty, raunchy comedy. And we're going to try to do that as well. So tune in on Thursday. Hopefully we'll be able to swing this thing around and make it more entertaining on Thursdays. And you got to bear with us because we have to develop SOPs as we go along. So there will be a bunch of Murphy dropping the ball, mistakes.
That will probably just add to the comedy,
It is.
to be honest.
Like we started off the stream with the movie night,
right.
Because
Yeah.
we are not 18th level wizards like Blake was.
Yeah.
I'm a first level fighter mage, and he's like a second level druid. And that's
something like that.
That's all we got.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Dwarf druid.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's where we are.
That's about where we're at. And through the years, Blake has really freaking stepped up to the freaking plate. I just want to say that right up front. The guy really stepped up. He didn't have to shit, dude.
No.
He's not, and I don't mean this as a diss. He's not even one of us. He's not a veteran.
He's not a
But
veteran.
He
and
stepped
he's not
up
divorced.
like a motherfucker.
But the thing is he had been, he's been in this game since 2009.
Yeah.
And he was standing there when people were like, hey man, you saved our fucking,
yeah.
It kept me from killing myself. At a couple of film festivals, we had a couple of guys say that.
Yeah.
And then as the stories came in and we're counting, it got to a point where like, holy fuck, we're onto something here.
I had just shown up in Berkeley again, and we were at your house, and you showed me one of the first videos that you guys edited. And I'm like, oh, this is, who's doing this shit for you? You go, oh, I got this guy named Blake. He's all right. I don't know if he fucking understands what we're doing.
I
yet,
called him
but
Video Dude. I didn't
Video
know,
Dude. Yes.
I didn't know his name for 3 years. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember it.
Video Dude.
I'd be like, hey, Video Dude, I'll be there on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I was there for the first iteration of Video Dude. But I just want to say on camera, Blake, you really stepped up over the years, and we really fucking appreciate it.
Absolute savage.
Yep.
But listen, like any army,
No homo.
but like any army, you're going to have leadership move on. And it's called a PCS, permanent change of station, or they get reassigned somewhere else.
He's been reassigned to Fort Living Room.
Yeah. And listen, he wants to spend more time with his son.
That's fine.
I'm 100% behind that.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why I do this show, is to tell guys the bullshit so they can avoid getting with women that'll wind up fucking them over. Unfortunately, most women do that, but I do the best I can, man. I'm just a dude.
It took me several tries, but I finally got it right. I've got a pretty good wife.
I can't say nothing negative. She's okay.
Yeah, she's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
She thinks you're a fucking dork.
I'm a dork, and I'm an asshole. I'm not a nice guy. I'm not a good person.
Yeah, you are.
That's my story. I'm
Knock it
sticking
off.
to it.
Cut it out.
Yep.
Do you want me to get out the really small vial in there?
No, I'm good.
Jimmy, are you buying this guy's shit?
I'd buy a bag or two, maybe a Pringles can.
Yeah,
Savage.
You shit in one Pringles can and they never let you forget it.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that was like epic.
Yeah.
That was like epic. So the whole idea of getting rid of the population, this has been going around for a while. This article is from 2024, but we first started seeing this stuff with the Georgia Guidestones showed up in what, the 80s? 90s? I don't remember.
No, I don't remember. I think they started
Jimmy, can
in
you
the
pull
late
that real
70s.
fast? Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah.
On it.
This whole thing with reducing the population is being mainstreamed, and it's all coming from the WEF out of Davos.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact people that funded Lev Bronstein and the whole Bolshevik movement and all of that. It's the same people again. And it's there's the Rothschilds are involved. And I know everybody gets twisted about it. So conspiracy theory. They admit it. They talk about it. They brag about it. They write papers about it.
Yeah.
What do you need to see that this is actually going on? How ideologically captured are you? And I realize that I'm repeating that phrase, but I want you to see that there is a turbo version of Stockholm syndrome going on in all Western nations right now, where we are absolutely convinced that the enemy who is trying to kill us is going to give us the best blowjob we've ever had.
Yeah. Also, in my opinion, I think we are stuck in the mouse utopia experiment here in the West.
Do you know how that ended? I'm asking the audience. Do you know how that ended? I know you know how that ended.
Yeah.
The mice proceeded to become homosexual and eat each other.
And you had almost
That's odd.
And you had, what was it, a 98% population collapse inside the mouse utopia.
Yeah, 98% population. Now, here's the thing. With a population collapses, it's not that big of a deal, historically, if you can get rid of the vector that is causing the population collapse. We know this from the Justinian plague of the 6th century.
And what about
Which
Black
was
Death?
that was a Black Death. Okay, first the Justinian plague of the 6th century wiped out 1/3 of the Roman Empire.
Yep.
And then the Black Death wiped out 1/4 of Europe's
In
population.
some places, it was half.
In some places, it was half. 1/4 is those are the generalized numbers. In
Yeah.
some places, it was 100%.
Yeah.
In
Wow.
some villages or regions, it was
Everybody.
100%. Everybody died,
Yeah, everyone went up and
but the populations recovered because the vector moved on. In this case, Black
or they
Death
had
can't
just
really
adapted to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
human beings are remarkably adaptable creatures. We'll adapt to all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But a population collapse is not the big, huge threat that they're making it out to be. What they're trying to do, though, is mentally prepare you for the fact that they're going to kill you.
Well,
They have stated this as their goal.
you're right.
Population reduction,
But let's just go through.
nuclear winter.
Let's just go through the steps.
Yeah.
All right. So JFK got his hair cut, and they got away with it.
Yes.
All right. They basically got Vietnam going.
Yep.
And they got away with that.
Yep.
All right. They the technology.
That's after
changed.
2 world wars.
Yeah, after 2 worlds. And the technology changed, which basically, in my opinion, once we got the tech going, this is speeding up.
Yes, because now they've got the ability to really make a surveillance state.
Mhm.
And we saw that in effect in extreme during the lockdown.
It's the
people
difference
ratting each
between
other out.
Analog and digital.
Mhm.
Right now, we're in the digital age. They can literally track your phone,
Yep.
contact your phone company, go back up to a decade and know where you were in real time for
Yep.
up to 10 years.
Yes. Now,
All right. Then you have
hang
the
on one
Smith-
second.
all
Hang
right.
on one second. Just for some context, when I was with No Such Agency and when I was doing the signals intelligence stuff, I am the very last of the analog generation. I am the last. Our class was the last of the analogs.
Okay.
Everybody who came after us, we started to see guys who were into computer networks, were into digital this, digital that. And that transition happened literally in the space of 2 years.
Yeah.
I watched the signals intelligence world go from analog to digital in 2 years. It happened right in front of me.
Yeah.
It was that fast.
But this is what I'm getting at, though. Then you had 9/11 take place. All right. They literally brought down 3 buildings at free fall speed in front of the entire world. They made footage disappear.
Mhm.
They lied. They had reports about stuff that took place before it actually happened, meaning it was scripted in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And that was mainstream media.
Yep.
And I would say our government was behind that.
I know
They got away with that.
And the Patriot Act was put in place 28 days later.
Correct. And then you have the Patriot Act going all along until 2020.
Mhm.
And they use fear and confusion and ignorance
Yep.
to put in place
And compliance.
mandates, lockdown mandates.
Mhm.
And they lied to us there 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which turned into many years.
I have that tracked. I kept
Yeah.
records of all of that.
And then we're now seeing the horror that's taken place from the vax and all of the side effects and horror stories that are taking place with that. So this is just going to, unless we can find out who's behind this and put them to the sword, this is going to get worse
Yes.
because they keep fucking getting away with it.
Now, this is just my opinion. Here is why I think it has to be America that throws the first punch in that particular scenario.
Yep.
We, I think, are the only nation left that's involved in all of this stuff that has anything like any of the last stock of alpha males.
Rednecks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any real men left in Europe
Well, if there
or the
if,
United Kingdom.
if there was, they've been shipped off to war and are now dead.
That's what the wars were for.
Yeah.
The wars were culling tools because the alpha personality warrior types are drawn to it. And you get to go into battle. We're hardwired for it. The back of our head is a little Mongolian on a horse with a sword going, "Ah, la, 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 la." We want to do that shit.
I was one of them.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
I loved it. The adrenaline of sitting in a freaking helicopter door doing 130 miles an hour over a bunch of trees. You're like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I've done that.
You know?
I've been strapped in the little bird,
Yeah.
2 guys per side.
Yeah.
Get out! And run off into the wood line.
Yeah.
That's exactly how that works.
It is too.
If you're not tied in, you are falling to your death.
Yes. Yep. It was. We're hardwired for it. There's a certain brain set, and they kill as many of those as they can. And in Europe, they managed to kill a lot of them in the Second World War.
Yes.
And then they had the children who they indoctrinated and tried to breed that out. But the problem they're having is some of that is surfacing because it's hardwired genetics. in Europe. They're seeing some of it surfacing. In America, you're starting to see a lot of it surfacing.
Gen Z. Yeah.
A lot of the kids are going,
This is fucking
this is
stupid.
bullshit.
Yeah. Good.
This is bullshit. And they're pushing so hard.
Bullshit for the
Bolshevik. And they've pushed so hard. They've pushed so hard that a lot of the young males in America are starting to look for Kyle.
Yep.
Have you seen Kyle? Kyle's about this tall. Have you seen Kyle? Okay, that's what's going on. It's just a fact.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
It's not pretty. It is a fact. You just have to say facts. Sorry.
It is what it is.
Yep.
And look, okay. Now, at some point, especially if we can't turn this thing around,
yeah,
you're going to see a lot of people go, you know what, this is absolute horseshit. It's going to be the onesie twos in the beginning. Then you're going to get regions that are just ungovernable. And then those are going to morph together until you have a large majority of land, which is controlled by conservatives / Republicans. Mm-hmm. And the blue states are mainly run by up to 3 major cities.
Yep.
They'll get isolated.
Yep.
And then it's just it's basically one big game of siege warfare.
The cities will try to send raiding parties out, and initially they may be successful.
And usually that's only good for 50 miles or less.
Correct.
They're not going to have the expertise to do extended raids or supply lines.
Those third world countries that I went to, the typical range for raiding parties was no more than 10 miles, unless it was an organized entity like Abu Sayyaf in Southeast Asia. They would take boats and go island hopping, but they had a plan. They were doing something, as opposed to just opportunistic raiders.
Because most people don't seem to understand. On foot, 50 miles is a 2-day walk out and a 2-day walk back.
Yes. Correct.
Without like cars and shit. That's a huge muscle movement.
And once the main roads are cut, those geographic barriers like big fucking fields, hills,
rivers,
trees, rivers, that sort of thing. You don't think a field would be an obstacle until
you have to cross.
Cross a field under fire.
Under fire.
And there's also, if that field is big enough, it will feel like it goes on forever.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
It will feel like it becomes a psychological barrier. Can you walk across it? Of course you can. Of course you can walk across just about anything. But in your head, it'll go, it's too far. I can't do that.
Especially if you're a civilian.
Yes. And you have no context at all for anything like that. Correct. One of us, I'm going across that field. He ain't stopping me. And I'm going to go across it in the middle of the night. I'm going to crawl the last distance so that you can't see my ass.
I remember in basic training when they said, by the time you leave here, when you're done with AIT,
1,200 miles,
you will be able to walk 12 miles full gear, 3 hours or less. I was just like, what?
Oh, that's not happening, man.
Never gonna happen. And then I got there and it was cake.
Yeah.
It was nothing. All right. We're going off in the weeds here.
We are going off in the weeds. We are going to, but dude, I was in my 30s. I would do 12 milers just as a matter of course for like PT.
Yeah.
And like once a week, just go do a 12 miler. And I wasn't alone. That's far from fucking special. There are tons of guys who did that shit.
Yeah.
We are at, by the way,
it has to be done.
To recap briefly, this whole thing has been planned. Bits and pieces of the plan have changed over the years as technology has become available or things became less relevant or more relevant. But it has all been planned, and the basic modern era starting point for this is essentially I would call it 1910.
Correct.
There's a lot of argument for the Civil War stuff. Yes, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different topic. I'm only talking about the modern era here. But that list that Pop has there is actually, we should type that in.
I'm going to go through this list real quick with you guys.
Put it on the site. Go for it.
All right. So I want you guys to pay attention to commercials, stories in the media, anything that, causes you to become emotionally upset in the moment, more than likely it's propaganda.
Yep.
Now, here are some of the common faces of that propaganda. Fear. They will do something to cause fear. People who are afraid are easy to herd and manipulate, all right? Confusion. Somebody will like, oh yeah, this is the real answer. Consensus is this. If you're confused, listen to us. Again, they are taking advantage of your confusion, your ignorance. Now, in today's day and age, when everyone has one of these at your disposal, and you literally have the Library of Congress, you could type it in there, whatever.
Yep.
I wouldn't really trust Google, but there's other search engines that operate outside Google. But if you don't do that and you choose to be ignorant, that's on you. But they take advantage of that.
Yep.
They take advantage of your ignorance, i.e., useful idiots.
Yep.
Next, panic. We had all kinds of panic during the lockdowns. People were buying toilet paper at breakneck speed.
Oh my God, that was the funniest thing in the world.
You
the toilet
couldn't
paper.
find it.
Yep. Toilet paper aisles empty.
All right. Repetition. If you're seeing the same message over and over again across various media outlets,
there's the big one. Yep.
Take a good look at that, especially if it's making you mad or this is so unfair, this is so unjust. You are being manipulated, and not in a good way, from a $50 whore on the street corner. All right. Slow creep.
Expensive.
Yeah, especially if you get Vada.
Yeah.
Slow creep of authoritarian rule.
That's the timeline that we just went through.
Yeah, we just went through that whole timeline.
Started in the schools in the 1930s.
They can't stand us because we as a nation want to be free. And I don't know what it is we have done to allow our youth to become so pliable that they just like, yeah, I'd rather have security than freedom.
Yep.
When you get to that mindset, you deserve neither.
Yeah.
All right. Next, fake science. I got banned and kicked off of PayPal. Me and Blake.
And his wife.
And his wife. Blake was just guilty by association, especially his wife, because we dared to talk about published studies about the mRNA technology that they started using in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they would tweak it and they would test it. It would be an absolute travesty. They would tweak it again. They'd have more problems. And it never got to the point where it was safe and effective.
Yep.
But they pushed it on us with consensus, and they said, trust the science. Well, there you go. Fake science. They're doing the same thing with the climate change shit as well.
This is so much garbage.
Fake science to cause fear and confusion and ignorance, and they're literally playing you like a fiddle. All right, then you have consensus. Well, everyone thinks this. It doesn't mean they're correct. It doesn't mean what they're following has anything to do with reality.
Experts agree.
Yeah. Just like the experts agree that Camel cigarettes used to be good for you during World War II.
Doctors.
Yeah,
Doctors
as
agree.
well.
Camel cigarettes are good for you. That was the ad.
All right, next, trust. They are actually going after people that you trust, move them somewhere where they'll tell you, well, this is the deal, i.e. Jimmy Colbert, when he was pushing the vax and he had the vax people dancing on stage.
Yeah.
He was somebody you trust. They used his trust to lead you into the meat grinder.
Yep.
Be careful of that as well. Compassion.
That's a big one for Americans.
That's a big one for Americans.
Very compassionate.
There are still people out there who are like, the illegals, well, we should just, give them all amnesty and then we put up
they
the
just
wall.
Want a fair shake.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But when we're giving hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars to illegal aliens, and we have people starving on the streets, especially veterans, something is royally fucked up and needs to get fixed. Yep. All right? So that's compassion. be mindful of all the commercials you see. Well, you should do this because it's a good thing to do to be a human being. Look, I love this country. I fear my government. But I want to be able.
I don't fear them anymore.
I want to keep electricity. I want to have food. I want to have water. All of that stuff costs money and time. It's not free. And we're giving it away based on compassion. All right. Now, listen, I myself, I do have compassion for my fellow man, but not to the point where I'm willing to sell all my shit, give it away, and live in the fucking street. Next, naked force. During the lockdowns here in Michigan, the state police and other police departments came and shut down businesses because we had a governor who made decisions for everyone that constitutionally should not have been able to do.
Yeah.
I.e. force. When they moved people with COVID into retirement homes and rest homes, it was done by force.
Canada was much worse than we were.
Yes.
But same idea. Yep.
And then you have false flags. Virtually every war this country has been in, minus the Civil War, started off with some type of event. The Spanish-American War. Remember the Maine. We talked about some of the ships getting sunk during World War I.
Yep.
It was the Lusitania or whatever was the big one that caused World War I. Despite the fact that ship was loaded to bear with supplies for war. What was Korea?
Pueblo.
Vietnam, the Gulf of
Tonkin.
Tonkin. Yeah.
Gulf of Tonkin.
Utter horseshit. All right. 9/11.
Proven to be horseshit.
Why did we go into Iraq? They didn't have anything to do with 9/11. I think that was something that the second Bush wanted to finish for his father. All right. And last but not least, anger. They get you pissed. It doesn't matter who, what, where, when, and why you're pissed. You're pissed. And they will use your anger to cause you to make unwise fucking decisions. That's why I always bring up the fact that anger and hatred are valid emotions, and they deserve their place behind a fucking shovel in your gut, shoveling coal into the fire. They never touch the control surfaces, because every time they do, they take you to fucking ruin. So you need to be on top of your anger, especially when you're watching the news and you're seeing stuff play out. You're like, what's going on here? Maybe I should research this to get other angles, more information, because maybe the 7 corporations who own all of our mainstream media are trying to do something to us, and they have been successful in spades, I would say, for the past quarter of a century. But that's just me, the old grunt. All right, let's get through some of these super chats. I went on long enough.
All righty. Well, let me click the button first because it's super chat time.
Oh, don't care what you gotta say. Whatever it is, it's probably lame. If you want some advice and need some help, oh, how about you go F yourself? Go no self, oh, F yourself.
All right.
And I did make the announcement made in the YouTube chat. We're 1 like away. We got 498 concurrent viewers. We got 299 likes. I wanted at least 300.
Come on now.
Well, up there it is. You
All right.
guys, whoever hit that like button just saved your ass from a hillbilly Hillary.
Oh, ow.
Hillbilly Hillary. Hillbilly Hillary.
Welcome. Hey, and look at that. We just got jumped up 7 likes. But first one here from Sean St. George for $2 says, were you talking about the Confucius School?
That was a manifestation of it that turned up in the education system, K-12 and universities. That was directed at our students. But there's another one as well. So yes and no.
Yep. See, all I got to do is just threaten you guys with a hillbilly Hillary, and we just jumped up to 328 likes.
Nice.
It's not that hard. I don't want to threaten you guys.
Yeah.
But sometimes I kind of have to.
It's only 164 on Rumble with 565 viewers.
Jesus Christ.
They're bucking for a fucking over there.
Rumble.
I like it.
Rumble. But let's see. We got our first We're Not Worthy coming from Kenj1090 says, nothing clever to say, but here's $50.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
That helps.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Wasn't that one of the first Willy von Bombs?
I don't remember.
No. Anyway, carry on.
One of them. Let's see. We got HTRSP Super with $10 says, great show tonight, and hopefully we can turn things around. I always look forward to this show each and every Tuesday and Thursday.
So do we.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. See, we got Win Noodles with $10 says, props to taking care of your mom, Pop.
Yeah.
Listen, man, we're all going to get there. I don't care who you are. The longer you live, at some point you're going to lose your parents. That's the way it's supposed to be. You should never have your parents burying you.
Exactly.
Burying your parents. That's the cycle of life. That's the way it goes. And there's a reason why I'm on the 65 and out plan, because I am not impressed with the quality of life once you get past a certain age. I am not for it. That's just me, though.
When I forget what day it is, what my name is, and when I have to go take a shit, just go find me a nice plot of land, dig me a nice 6-foot hole, and put me out of my misery.
I thought that was called Tuesday for you, Jimmy.
Well, I can't do that. I can't do that on Tuesdays because I got to be the evil button pushing monkey.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Well, you can have your peach whiskey.
I learned my lesson. No whiskey on the weekdays.
I got you. All right.
Let's see. Next one here comes from Besides John. Good to see you there. Says Jimmy Pop, can I get in on Thursday? Can I make that happen? I probably can. Send you the link.
Once we get the SOP done, and then once we can get it working smoothly,
right,
then we can reintroduce guests. Up until that, let's just unfuck this whole thing, and we'll figure it out. And after the show, Jimmy, you and I will talk. He's going to leave here soon because he's got to drive home.
Yeah.
And I'll walk you through it, okay?
Sounds good. But yeah, Ascension, I'm pretty sure you have some contact info for me, but keep in touch with me. So we got FMF Veteran with $10 says, great show, and can't hardly wait for the new version.
We'll see. We don't even know what it's going to look like yet, to be honest.
I have a vague idea.
Okay.
So there's going to be more video clips, like the short reels that you get on TikTok and Facebook. Some of that shit is comedy gold. It's only like 90 seconds long. And there's a whole bunch of commentary that we can add that is colorful.
I just realized that there was a whole video here that we couldn't get to because it was on Instagram that I wanted to show you guys.
Yeah.
But the link will be in the Meat Gazer box.
All right.
As well as on the website. And that reminds me, Pop, I was scrolling through Instagram. Someone created a D&D character focused over on D's nuts. I was laughing my ass off.
Nice.
I have it saved, and I'll send it over to you for Thursday.
All right.
We'll get it in the rotation here. That's the and Sean St. George here with $2 says security is a personal responsibility, not the government's responsibility.
Yes,
that's
that
correct.
is correct. I do not need the government to help me anything.
There is a reason why I go everywhere with a cordless hole puncher.
That's right.
And well, all 50 states are concealed carry states if you're not a fucking pussy.
That's a fact, and that's actually going before Congress. So
yeah.
Yep. But well, YouTube did hit the like things, but Count Chad the Impaler.
Oh no.
You dick.
Here we go.
He wants him some hillbilly Hillary.
I bet he does.
Oh God.
Here you go.
It's just brutal.
That's just brutal, man.
It's
Who made that one originally?
I believe that was a Billy one. Yep.
Bastard.
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 Wow.
But alrighty, but yeah, Rumble, you guys need to step it up. 579 with only 172 likes.
Ooh. Yeah. Guys are
Well,
slipping
we
light.
just got Hillary, so you're getting off light there for the moment.
Phrasing.
What? Yeah, phrasing.
But we'll jump over here to the Rumble side there because we love you. No
The
homo.
rumblies.
Rumbles and the tumblies. Let's see. The first one here is from Mando. Bolshevik.
Here we
Now
go.
rip that Band-Aid button pushing monkey. Well, he has been summoned, so
Here we
he
go.
is.
Bolsheviks.
No, don't say it.
Bolsheviks.
No, please stop.
Bolsheviks.
It's showtime. Bolsheviks, baby. Everyone drink.
Sorry, that was I had a misclick there. My mouse is I think I need to get a new mouse.
I had a negligent discharge earlier myself, so don't feel
Yep.
bad.
It
all
happened.
good. It's all good. Hey, Amanda coming back again says, anyone else notice Pop is missing the P nice in the corner?
We fixed that.
We fixed it. It's up here.
As soon as I saw that, I immediately put it up on the board.
Yeah. I fucked up. I should have drew it up there myself.
Yeah.
Well, at least we know Mando is always thinking of the P
That's
nice.
fine. Yeah.
And Mando coming back again says, good job, dwarf.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, I walked up right on camera and made sure that the P nice was in place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Had to guide the P nice in.
Phrasing.
Sounds
You might have
a
to
little,
give yourself. You might
That
have to give
is-
yourself a disco ball for that.
You are walking the edge of disco territory there.
we'll hold off on that half a point assessment there.
Okay.
Carry on.
We got Steadfast 21 here says, just wanted to add to the kitty. I love this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. See, Mando coming back again says, Pop, the folks at the top are special ed.
Well, yeah.
I suspect there's a good deal of inbreeding in the ones that have an inordinate amount of money.
No. You
There were
think?
several families that were known to inbreed deliberately so that their money could not be transferred away from the family.
Diluted.
Yeah, if you want a really good example of that, look up the royal family of Spain. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
And we think that people in Alabama are a bunch of cousin fuckers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yes, E4 Mafia, that is a real chalkboard. He
Yep.
asked. That's a legit question. Carry on.
Hey, we got Fan I Am. It says the Bible prophesized Satan and demons confinement to earth, getting angry and fomenting war, hatred, and chaos because he had a short time. And it pointed to 1914, Book of Revelation and Daniel.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of doom and gloom in all of those books. So
There is.
Yep. And let's see, Cliff 3188 coming in and says, Dwarf, did you ever find yourself source records of the Great War? I've been reading my great-grandfather's set. You guys are barely scratching the surface of the major events around World War One.
We barely scratched the surface on those events because it was not this evening's topic. It just bared
that's
scratching.
a whole show, man.
That is a whole show. And one of these days we'll do that. Maybe I'll even start a Dwarf's History channel for Redonkulas.
Yeah,
But
I think that might be
I
too
hear what you're saying.
specific.
And I wish we could do that. I need those books. I have to find that. Please send that to me in an email. Will you send that to redonkulous12@gmail.com?
Well, those
and I
books
will
have
find
to be
those.
on PDF float.
I'll find them.
out there.
I will. If they're out there, I will find them. I like to have books in my hand. Is
I know.
my thing.
I got you.
There you go. And there's International House Whoop Ass's comment earlier. He says, hey, Dwarf, I was born in the States, came here at 7 years old, I'm now 40, and gave my body to this country in war. I became a naturalized citizen and won a Saddam's castle. Do I need to go?
No, you're fine.
Yes, we discussed this at length. There are always a certain number of people from other countries in any given country. And I'm talking about the boatloads and boatloads of gimmies.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I'm talking about. Like I said, if you fight shoulder to shoulder with me and bleed on the battlefield, you're good to go, man. Period.
Yep.
It isn't even a debate.
In my opinion, if you are awarded a CIB or a CAB and you are not a U.S. citizen,
It should be instant citizenship.
by the time you come back from that theater, your chain of command should have your citizenship packet waiting
For you and stamped all the way up.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm 100% behind that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, Mando coming back. I knew I had a misclick there for a reason because it says, Jimbo, since you're on station, punish Dwarf's good deed with your choice of Billy's deepfakes.
Oh, no.
Now what did I do?
No.
Dwarf and Nance is preferred. So here you go.
God.
In Bolsheviksville, where the sun shines bright,
Live Dwarf and Nance, what a charming sight. With Sandy the maid and Pop dropping by.
and Hillary's antics that'll make you sigh. Oh, Dwarf and Nance, they've got it made, with laughter, love, and a living made. From morning toast to an evening dance, it's always a hoot with Dwarf and Nance.
The problem with that is it's so plausible
It
looking.
Dude, that is so good. Oh, my God. That is hilarious.
Oh, God. I laughed my balls off the first time I see it, and I still laugh my balls off.
Yeah, that's a funny one. All right. Kara.
Let's see. Moving on here, we got Broken Pie 284 coming in. Says mass immigration is a WEF country destabilization plan.
Yes, it is human
is.
carpet bombing.
It is. It's a meat wave.
Yep.
Let's see. Amanda come back says, Dwarf, don't compare parasites to socialists. Parasites actually contribute to a wider ecosystem, usually by providing biomass for the rest of the ecology.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Yep. And we got Western Citizen coming in, says multiculturalism conducted for migration replacement. Hard to identify invaders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when the
Features of that. Yep.
when the invaders are wearing towels and wearing dresses and saying aloha snack bar and saying we need to completely destroy your religion that your entire country is built upon, it's kind of easy to point those people out.
It's going to be a problem.
It's going to be bad. Let's see. International House of Whoop Ass coming back says, I know first-gen Americans that don't even know how to speak or write the language of their parents, nor English, but they will turncoat for the people giving them free without. They need to go away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you're right. You're 100% correct.
Yeah. I actually, I did see a post from the White House Twitter page.
Mhm.
There is a DEI that I will support. Deport every illegal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you've been here for 4 days or 40 years.
Yep.
If you've been here for 40 years, you've had more than enough time to try to fill out the paperwork.
You've been illegal the whole time.
So I'm sorry. I'm not going to shed a tear for you when ICE decides to show up and wham.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Let's see. We got Nick Coldus here with $20. Says, outstanding job, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, what the hell we do to you?
What?
You.
It's fighting words, man.
Fighting words, man. Let's see. Mando coming back says, I graduated in 2000. Several of my teachers were good, but I was in semi-rural Missouri.
You probably, they held on in some areas. It's not a 100% blanket fact, but by the mid-90s, particularly in the urban areas,
It was done.
any real teachers had been phased out.
Yeah.
Yep. Fun fact about me, when I moved in with my dad, there was actually a teacher still teaching at the school that I went to. She taught my dad, my uncles, and my aunt.
Wow.
That's
That was
cool.
Yeah. They had pictures of all my family up there. So that was pretty fun. Let's see. Singer Fly says, Pop, did you hear the Indians have attacked Pakistan?
Yes.
I
we're just
don't really care. What do you do? Throw pop
And-
at each other?
Well, they do have nuclear warheads.
That's fine. Nuclear pop dumps.
That's fine. I don't care. Maybe that region of the world will be somewhat sanitized and
depopulation
smell.
anyway.
Yeah.
Rapey bastards.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. We got Tomahawk here with $10 says everything went to shit when the Frankfurt School showed up. Off topic, was working my beehives while listening. If all goes well, we'll send some dwarf to. Oh, excuse me. We'll send dwarf some honey to ferment later this year.
Ooh, I will send you back the product of that. I have done this before. It's been many years, about 10 years since I did that, but I have been known to do that.
And look, his meat is good, man. That shit is no joke.
We've got several kinds now, and they all stay to a strict standard. But we've got 3 different kinds now.
All right, there we go. Hopefully we can get the ball rolling on the liquor license, so that can also be something else.
There's some hoop jumping.
Some
hoop jumping and sphincter circling that has to go on for that.
Oh, yeah.
We probably might have to hire a professional. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I miss the days when you can just go to your neighbor and say, hey, I got some booze. You want to buy it? Sure.
I will not comment on that on camera, nor should you.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Let's see. Mando Kovac says, Pop, the 05 Council of the SCP Foundation needs to speak to you about your failure to acknowledge consensus reality. Give us one of the anonymous images of Pop and Hillary.
Oh, you bastard.
Bastard.
Which one do we want?
All right.
Yeah, might as well do this one.
So good and tasty.
There had to be Hillbilly Hillary. Just had to be her.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't ask for any of the deep fakes with me in it.
Yeah,
because those are also very disturbing, and I had to have multiple conversations with my Night Terror demon Kevin about those.
I love that.
I heard he tried to leave.
My Night Terror.
Let's see. We got N2 Gas here says more than one person has spoken of killing off the useless eaters.
It's just a conversation that happens from time to time. People get sick of it.
Yes.
Yep. Let's see. We got K-Note here. Says, don't forget our magnetic poles are currently changing. They'll have a huge effect on climate, especially when the magnetic field weakens.
Yeah, but that's a natural phenomenon.
Yep. We can suddenly see the auroras as far as south as Oregon. There's been times where the aurora borealis has been seen in my state of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in the Upper Peninsula as a kid a lot.
There you go. Let's see. Hey, dear Sarge, there he is. I was wondering where he was going to be. He says, okay, was dicking off, but running to work now, so I'll be lurking like Battle Dwarf's assigned FBI agent.
I have 2, and they both are overcome with misery and energy drinks. So
there you go. Let's see. We got Kira Ninja 00 here, which says, hey, Pop and Battle Dwarf, if these deep state governments do any form of purging, I think they will do it with a newer lab designed super deadly virus, allegedly.
There's a lot of theories about that, but from what I saw of chemical warfare while I was in it, is very hard to use it on a massive scale.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, I got to find a button here.
Uh-oh.
Well, there's the button. Because, Alucard, he's here in the chat. And he's here to bestow woe and misery upon everybody. Because he wants an atomic Hillary.
I hate that one. Something about that woman's face just makes me hate.
Yeah.
All right, just being honest there.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's see. Broken Pine 284 here says, true pain, dealing with parents declining and watching them die changes you forever.
Yes, it does.
I am unfortunate enough to have 2 very evil parents, one of whom has passed away, but the other is basically Voldemort won't speak her name.
Yeah. Sounds like a similar situation. Let's see. We got Roman Life here with $5 says, because of the communist professors in higher education in the West the last 60 years, we now have a large portion of the population that has been brainwashed to think that socialism is the answer.
That's ideological capture.
Yep, we just covered
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yep.
Yep.
It is
And-
ideological capture. It's Helsinki, or it's a Stockholm syndrome on steroids.
Yeah. And probably some estrogen too, because they want you to change your gender. Let's see. Kira Ninja 00 coming back says, "Hey Pop, sorry to hear about your mom. I have both parents that have different stages of dementia. It's very hard to deal with them. I'm giving them lion's mane and some other vitamins to help."
I've tried all that. Yeah, I take the lion's mane and the vitamins myself, but yeah, my mother, I think, is long. I think it's a wrap.
Yep. Sometimes you're too far gone.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Alucard coming back. Don't worry, he doesn't have any requests or is trying to make you puke, Pop. Says, beware those who get mad when you're stocking up on food. It's a telltale sign of possible betrayal. Or am I wrong?
No, anyone that shows a lot of interest in anything you're doing, more than likely are doing so for a nefarious reason.
Yep. Yeah, all the people that were talking
stuff.
All the people that were talking shit on a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, you might as well stock up on some emergency food." Be like, "Oh, what are you, a fucking prepper?" No, sometimes it rains and the power goes out.
Mm-hmm.
So what? You say, maybe I am. So what?
Yeah.
It's my money, my time.
My family is from the UP, where you can literally be trapped in your own house by snowfall for 4 to 6 days.
Yeah.
So we stocked
more.
up. It was normal.
Or more.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just normal. We always had food on hand.
Always. Let's see. Berserker Brad, 1983, coming in with $20, says Hillary Clinton was supposed to kill this country had she won 2016.
Yeah.
Trump was the great disruption to the plan. The Biden regime tried to accelerate our demise.
Yes. Unfortunately, they put a shitty team together for Biden. So that's something I can cover in another show. I know how that works.
Yeah, and I don't know why I saw this earlier, but apparently either Kamala is trying to be propped up and Hillary is trying to be propped up, as well as the annoying opinionated cunt.
All out cunt.
Sounds refreshing, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really want a woman to run for president, and it's not gonna work.
Yep.
Let's see. Mando here says, "Dwarf, be honest. You won't crawl across a field. You will burrow your way across."
There's probably a good chance of that.
I'll dig my way through it.
That's right.
There you go. And Mando coming back in and says, "Pop, agree or disagree? Don't get mad. Get tactical."
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. Let's see. Alucard. Yep, I did hear about this. Texas banned political memes, and I wonder what will happen when it comes into effect September 1st, 2025.
False. I read the law. That is not true. What they did is make it illegal for political candidates or anybody in an office to use something like a meme that has blatant falsehoods in it without stating that this is a falsehood and we're just using it as a meme or something close to that effect.
So they're trying to do
banned in Texas.
Anti-propaganda?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It is an effort to curb blatant slander in the political game, and we all know that that's a problem. So read the actual law is the answer to that question. Read the law thoroughly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's usually the commonplace thing whenever a law gets passed, because you really want to read it, especially from the federal government, because we can't read it, we can't get it to pass because we can't read 12,000 pages in 48 hours.
Kind of like Obamacare.
No bill should ever be more than 3 pages.
Correct.
Yes. Let's see. Professor Blake Pooh Ass Blaster is coming back. Says, "Hey, give Pop a Hillbilly Hillary. Anyway, there's going to be a Thursday show." Well, we already did the Hillbilly Hillary, so you know what? I'm going to do some self-deprecating humor here, and
Jimmy, you just want to see Billy Von Bob's sweet videos that stars you. Hit the button.
Here's me and Lizzo.
No! Why?
That's eyeball apparay.
It's because it's funnier and shit, and I love seeing you two squirm.
God damn it. That hurts.
Oh, I think I blew an aneurysm.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you need to roll out of here?
You probably should do that, and I'm going to get toddling along because I do my long drive through them. But hit the piss break button, Jimmy.
Alrighty, let me scroll up first piss break that I see. Wayne's World, party time. Excellent. See you later, dwarf.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, you can just take down that other one. There we go.
There we go.
This chair is more comfortable anyway. Oh.
Had to get Pop dancing there for a little bit.
All right.
Let's see. Moving on to the super chats here. We got Mando says, Jimbo, when you don't remember anything, I will force you to listen to your script on repeat.
Fair enough.
If you know, you know. But here comes Alucard, says the dog man called. She wants Pop to sing. She wants Snoo bring her beer and a tent. And then the tent starts rocking. Well, you know, I've never had sex during while I was camping, but I've heard it was fucking intense. It's so disturbing how good your face fits on that.
I know
we say it every single time, but
no, that is probably the best one I've ever seen.
Let's see. I do kind of wish I got to this one before Dwarf left, but it says this is from Reynard69. It says, Dwarf, do you have a reading list for McCarthy?
Actually, send that to us in the email, redonkulous12@gmail.com. I'll forward it to him and he can answer it.
Yep, there you go.
Because he does have a reading list on that.
Yep. And Alucard coming back again says, Billy Von Baum, do a Pop as the Doctor Who, Dwarf as his companion / friend, and the Bolsheviks as the Cybermen.
That would actually be pretty intense.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
See, Fan I Am says, barely scratch the surf ass. The surf ass means something else to the Bolsheviks.
That's actually, hang on a minute. I got to get my book. That's funny.
There you go. Well, Pop grabs his brain there. Let's see. This one's for Dwarf from Cliff. It says, check a Demon 26 mail, 11/18, August 24th. I offered to let you borrow my great-grandfather's set 9 months ago. Included in that email is the public information. All right.
Well, here's the thing is, you're talking about the books.
Yep.
All right. These are, if that's a family heirloom or whatever, let's not separate people from shit like that. So, I mean, we could we'll figure out where to get our hands on those books, even if it's a PDF, because they're on PDF somewhere. Everything's on PDF nowadays. And I know he says, I want real books. Yeah, he can print them out himself.
Yeah, you can print them out, staple them together.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Mando come back says, I am waiting for them to make extra spicy glowing curry over India and Pakistan.
Yeah, well, if it does go nuclear over there, it's not going to be pretty. You're going to wind up with a huge backlash against the Muslim community, Islam worldwide, and it will not be pretty.
Well, India did go ahead and ban pretty much every single Islamic person in there, or Pakistani or something like that, because of a certain situation that happened.
And not only that, but after that terrorist attack that took place, a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks back, India cut off all of the water to Pakistan. So that's a huge move right there.
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying? When you fuck around,
you're gonna find out.
And right now, they're in the finding out situation.
Yep.
Let's see. Fan Am coming in and says, from microwave to nuclear wave, from popcorn to papadoms.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see. Professor Blake Pooh Ass Blaster 3000 says, hey, Pop, question. Is the deep state building underground cities? Just asking for a friend. Jimmy, give yourself a deep fake.
Okay. In regards to underground cities, it is not the first time throughout our history where people have built whole complexes underground. I mean, there's some in Turkey, other areas in the Middle East that have huge cave complexes. I'm trying to remember the name of the one that, they're estimated it could hold anywhere from 10 to 100,000 people. People don't do shit like that for no reason. So
yeah.
I think that there is some tunnel or shelter building going on 100%.
Oh, yeah. And it's totally not like Mark Zuckerberg bought a compound in Hawaii and it's got a underground bunker.
Yeah.
When the uber rich people start building shit and buying shit, you should probably start paying attention.
Yeah, pay attention. It's called situational awareness. I mentioned it in my safety briefing. There you go.
And of course, he wants a Jimmy deep fake. So which one should I do? Oh, God. I don't know which one's worse. Probably this one.
It's just nasty.
Rosie. Let's see. Alley Card says, my bad on that, Pop. Dwarf, thanks for the update. Yep, no problem.
All good.
Let's see. Mando says, Jimmy, bad. Submit yourself to one of Billy Von Baum's worst. Oh, God. Okay, well, here's me on The View. How about that? You happy, Mando?
Okay.
Of course you're not happy because
what are you going to do, man?
You're a sick, sadistic bastard, and hope you never change. All right, looks like that does it for all of the Rumble stuff. Let me jump back over here to the U-boob side. Hopefully it doesn't freeze on me because it's going to. I know it will. Let's see. Yep, we had a couple more here. We got Cody Golden with $9.99. Says populations go down in cities just like the mouse experiment. Not natural for mammals that aren't naked mole rats that like to live like that. Been a viewer for a year now, and I'm currently in the Navy, and I'm a CB.
All right.
Yeah.
I've worked with the CBs before. They're not bad. They are useful. When it comes to building shit or destroying shit, they're really good at that.
Yep. I've watched a few Fat Electrician videos about the CBs.
Yep.
Seem like good dudes.
He seems like a solid dude, too.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. We got Nefarious Demonology with $10. Says, I knew something was up when the ozone layer was being fried and everyone was freaking out. And then one day, as if by magic, I did not hear a single thing about it again. They were on to a bigger game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that growing up in the 90s, the HFCFs and your refrigerant in your vehicles and your house and your AC units. Yeah, they were like, oh, that's bad for the ozone layer, so we're just going to create a new thing. Yeah. It's fine.
Well, during the 70s, they're like, oh, we're going into another ice age. I'm like, what? And then a few like years later, oh, it's global warming. I'm like, what the fuck? And then they settled on climate change because the climate is always changing. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. We got Count Chad the Imperial with $5 here. Says modern democracies and republics, those are in quotes, are globalist police state plutocracies with extra steps.
I can't argue with that because typically in any situation or government system, you always get the psycho narcissist people who always rise to the top and become tyrants. I mean, it happens in every system because we're evil, hairless monkeys, and that's just what we do.
Yep. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolute.
Yep.
Let's see. We got Richard here throwing $50 here. Says, keep it going. Keep it real, guys. You're needed. Now we need to see Pop sing in the white spandex.
We already did that.
We already did that one, but how about Pop in another little white outfit on the gay cruise? Ali Carter's asking Pop's face on Elvis.
I would probably fit on there quite well. Not the fat Elvis, of course. Unless he had
unless
he had a Punisher shirt on. That one doesn't really fit me as well as the other one.
Still funnier and shit, though.
It's still pretty funny, yeah.
So funny. And we got Cool Cat here with $10. The last one here on the YouTube side. It says, much love and respect for everybody. Do you guys think Trump wants a war with Iran? I hope he doesn't. What do you think? What do you mean I think?
Well, first of all, you cannot allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. It's just a non-starter because they are not going to play nice with nuclear warheads. And Israel probably will not allow that to happen. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Hopefully it ends up with a good shake and not piss all over everybody else's hand.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Make sure nothing else jumped in over here. Oh, God. Alucard, he wants me and Whoopi. So you know what? You're a sick, sick bastard. But you know what? I do like me the taste of some sweet chocolate. Did I say sweet chocolate? That woman is bitter, uncooked, and stale chocolate.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
Unsweetened. It's baker's chocolate.
Oh, God. Yeah. I remember being a kid saying, hey, Mom, I want some chocolate. She gave me a spoonful of that. I no longer wanted chocolate for the rest of the day. Disgusting. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. We'll jump over here to the MGTOW side. We got Crazy Uncle here with $10. Says, I double dare a motherfucker to show me the single time where a temporary or feel good law was not weaponized against the populace. Example, any temporary taxes or the feel-good laws about seatbelts. Didn't they brainwash and wax the children's mind with Flintstones on the latter example?
Yep. Yes, they did.
Yep. Let's see, we got Dark Mad Dog. He's got 3 in a row here. The first one here says, hello, Pop and Battle Dwarf. Canada is finally reverting the High Canada and Low Canada. I hope Quebec separates and the welfare states go away. I hope all the riggers replace the R with an N. Here, the Haitians or Africans get deported or get the welfare cut along with all immigrants of 20 years to go away. Yep. Battle Dwarf, since I'm also a dwarf, what is my name? Schizo Dwarf? Dollbanger Dwarf?
I don't know. I have to think about it.
We'll think of something. He finishes up with, I hope Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Quebec leave Canada. It's going to be a Soviet Union balkanization all over again.
I'm going to be honest. The Liberals up in Canada deserve that. They're now on their, fourth Liberal Prime Minister, and it's been nothing but an absolute travesty.
Yeah, I haven't kept up too much on Canadian politics, but it's basically one proctologist going only 2 fingers deep in with Trudeau, and now you're getting the full fist with the new guy.
Carney? Yeah, he fooled all of Canada by saying he's going to stand up to Trump, and as soon as he got elected, he's knocking on the White House door. So, Canada, you have been lied to yet again. Wah. All right, move on.
And Dark Mad Dog, second one here, says, as long as you spend time with your mom, make memories with her, with the time she has left, we understand, Pop. Fucked Up But Funny is a great show. You got to keep it. We will. Well, or make a video react time every month or whatever, or an online gaming session every now and then.
I might actually do an online gaming thing on Sundays for the supporters. We'll see.
There you go. Do some War Thunder.
Oh, no, I'm talking like a tabletop game where everyone has a character and we do the thing. And that might be pretty cool.
There you go. You can reach your inner nerd, Pop. Let's see. It finishes up. You got a lot of possible. You got lots of possible content for Thursday. Reducing the population is in line for the solar micronova and mass deaths due to great flood every 16,000 years. We are in time, by the way, and they want low survivors for later.
Yeah, you are correct. But the Thursday show is going to be more like I want to cover. We're going to do some comedy reactions to like some comedy shorts. We're going to have cool gadgets. I might have a show and tell table where I pull out, hole punchers and go through them with people. And then maybe we'll have some beer tasting when I go out and get some custom beer, bring it back. And like, this is what we're drinking today. And then we're like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it. It's just for men. Men enjoy that shit. And we're going to deliver.
Fuck yeah. Let's see. And last one from Dark Mad Dog here says, Dwarf, I'm a bit not too worried about it. That's all right. Dwarf's not here for you to hear that. Says the new generation is full of hope. The kids are becoming Hitler. Hitlerites with no outside inputs. I am proud of them. The incels are the saving grace of Western civilization because of the older times. Prehistoric men rose up and took all their wives and land, and the ruling elites who were found dead with no women. Either the U.S. breaks the global homo Israel or the future generations do it. It's just a question of time how many people will remain.
With like the youth, the Gen Z, we shouldn't really compare them to the Hitlerites. They're more like patriots. And the left has actually turned patriots into a de facto Hitler. That is completely wrong. They're not the same.
Yep. There's actually more Gen Z people that are converting to Christianity than there are millennials.
Look good.
So, good on them. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, I was raised in the shadow of zombie Jesus. So we get
yep. Let's see. Last one here on MGTOW.tv. We got MGTOW Ronan. Says, evening, gentlemen. Great job as usual. Question. Your thoughts on Mrs. Shiloh Hendricks and the controversy of her use of the N-word. As of today, her fund send go dyslexis moment
700,000
has reached 700,000. People are tired of the race baiting bullshit. especially behind the Carmelo Anthony BS, thanks to some basketball Americans. The goodwill of white people is almost gone. Rip white guilt, in my honest opinion.
Once the white people, the Caucasians, have had enough, you will know, because they will let everyone know they've had enough, and it will not be pleasant. I personally don't want to see that. I've served in the military, next to every race, color, and creed there is. I get along with pretty much everyone. I don't want to live in that world where, people are labeled automatic enemy because they were born a certain way. But that's what the powers want. They might just get it, and then they will be sorry that they did.
Yep. Only low IQ people are falling for that fucking bullshit. And I'm not talking about just one side. I'm talking about everybody.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, is it's not going to just stop there. Once you get people to that level of anger, they're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to make sure this never fucking happens again. And they're going to go down the fucking list. And it's going to be, racial qualities. And it's going to go down religion. It's going to go right down the fucking list. That is a very ugly time.
Yep.
I don't want to see it.
Racism is the dying thing that the Democrats and the mainstream media, the globalists, and God forbid the Bolsheviks have. That's their last dying thread that they have to completely divide and destroy America.
Yeah.
So
think about it. They're dividing us on religious lines, racial lines, politics, sex, sexuality. I mean, come the fuck on. We're literally ripping our country apart for the whole trans ideal bullshit, which was pushed by the feminists. And the trans people make up 1/5 of 1% of the entire gross population of this country. And most of those people do it for entertainment or burlesque or whatever. Fine. But there's other people, even a smaller minority, who are absolute cult figures in this shit. And they literally want the whole world to fall lockstep into their beliefs. That is never going to fucking happen.
And usually whenever those kind of people are caught up in some stuff and some things and stuff are found on their laptops and computers that, well, I'm not going to say what they are, but we know what they are. And, well, we told you so.
Things and stuff
can get you caught up. It's never a good thing. Let's see, we did have a couple more come over on the Rumble side. Alucard coming back says, did Canada disarm their civilian population?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
They did. And they literally hobbled them. And they did the same thing in Australia, and look what's going on down there. And they did that in England too. They're arresting people for, basically preaching on the streets and having, wrong think online.
Gee, I wonder why that is a thing. Can't have Christian preachers on the street when your, PM in Britain is a Muslim.
Yeah, just say a member of Islam.
Yeah, he's
specific. Now, listen, I don't have anything against the Jewish religion. I don't have anything against Islam. I just, don't want Sharia law here, because I've seen Sharia law for real in the Middle East, and it's incredibly abhorrent.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
That's the next one here. We got Echelon the second here with $10. Says, Pop an evil monkey. I'm having trouble with Rumble. I'm not sure what's going on, but every ad, it loses the place on every live stream replay, including the live stream right now.
That's probably a Rumble thing. It's not us.
Yeah, that's probably a Rumble thing. Because I've had to tweak some settings on my laptop just to make sure that I can see all of the Rumble chats and whatnot, because it's a pain in the dick. We'll move on here, but jumping over to the Odyssey side here, we got Francois de la Châtaigne. It says sender's name, Francois Le Châtaigne, addressee email, redonkulous12@gmail.com. He's giving us that. It says, my new life in Western Canada. specifically Alberta. One of 24 files of not safe for work pictures attached. Sorry, money payment is disabled here.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Odyssey is a kind of.
All right, so I've read your email. I've looked at those pictures. They're quite spectacular. We can't really share them with the public since they're private. Now I would, he mentioned something about a meetup or being a guest on here. Like I said, until we get the SOP down for the new Thursday show, once we got that all settled in, then we can focus on reintroducing guests. So let's just leave it at that.
Yep. It shouldn't take us too long to get that shit figured out. So,
yep.
I am the apprentice under the 14th level wizard Blake is. So, shouldn't be too bad. But, of course, we got our usual 11 viewers over on the Itchy Twitchy. And
right.
D-Live, of course, not showing us there, but no lemons over there. And we'll jump over to the Twatosphere, where we got 91 viewers.
Huh?
Nice.
Yeah,
Gesundheit.
I have one or two more of those in me.
All right. We'll run through these cash apps here quite quickly. Here we got Susan McCarley here with $30. Says, there, I said it. Now drink.
I finished my beer, or I would.
I'll drink for you then.
All right.
All right, there we go. Got our 2 drinks in there for that one. Let's see here. What's the next cash app? We got Matthew sending $30 in for y'all help me stay out of my head. I love the show.
All right. Well, we're trying to do something better.
Oh, yeah, man. That's what we're here for. And we got $25 from Stuart. $25 for the beer fund. Nice. Thank you. Let's see. Zvaldkor. That's a new name for $15. Says for your great mission.
The Valkor are a neutral army in my novel series that exist in the astral plane.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, we got $20 from Mark. Says, can't wait for the new format. So take my money.
Well, we're trying to get it going.
Yep. And you'll have to apologize for the wrinkles that we have here and everything every now and then. But we'll get through it. We'll iron them out. Make sure that we're producing you guys a nice, good show that you guys like. And, Ryan, holy fucking Schmidt. I got to scroll all the way up. All the way up. Where's the button? Because he's dropping $100 on us.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
All right.
And his caption is, for the cause. Thank you very much. Let's see. Yep, there he is. Vincent Van Gogh, fuck yourself. Throwing $15 in there. How good to see you, good sir. Says FDS, please. FDS.
What is that?
Yes. FDS. Oh, I don't know. What is
per second, frames per second. All right. Next one then.
FDS. Well, we'll figure that out. You have to
elaborate.
And let's see. And HKC sending in $5 for Bolshevik. Rank.
I should probably open up 2 beers instead of 1.
Probably should have. But that looks like that does it for the cash apps there. Let me just jump back through, make sure we're not missing anything else. Looks like YouTube is all good. Let's see. We had Alucard come in again. Says, Pop, befriend a dogman. They might come in handy in defense.
I really don't want to meet the dogman. So fuck that guy. I'm good. I don't want to meet Bigfoot. I don't want to see any ghosts anymore. I'm good. I just don't need any of that shit. It's never a good deal.
Yeah. Let's see. Nothing else new over on the MGTOW side. So we'll jump to Odyssey. Blankets is saying, Jimmy, Odyssey is doing a new monetization system soon. All righty, there you go.
Yeah, I'll try to figure out what's going on. If they fuck this up, they're done. You know that, right? If Odyssey fucks up their monetization, they are not going to be able to compete.
Let's see. We had Vincent Van Gogh, fuck yourself, drop in another $1. He wants to see a flying dick straw.
We don't have any more. Nobody to throw them at.
I don't have anybody throw them at me, man.
Look, Metal Dwarf's got to drive home, and he's getting older. The drive fucking punishes him, so that's just the way it is.
Yep. There you go. All righty. Well, we are all caught up with the super chats here, so you know what? We're ready for Pop.
Safety
briefing.
All right, everybody, pay attention. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and swim. It's not going to work out for you. Wear a condom if you must fornicate. Take it with you. Flush it down the toilet because women are sneaky bitches and child support does last 18 to 21 years. Maintain your situational awareness because if you're going to be attacked, something in your environment will have changed. It's up to you to see it. Also, rack up, pack up, and stack up because there's always safety in numbers. And last but not least, I'm sick and tired of throwing you guys in the dirt because you're taking a permanent solution to a temporary goddamn problem. Play the long game. You have no idea what the future holds for you, and for you to quit or dip out early, you're kind of being a dick. All right, stay in the fight. If all else fails, live out of motherfucking spite. And last but not least, I'm your crazy drunk uncle who is always celebrating all of the victories that you have, even the ones you can never tell anyone about. And those are the worst. All right, boom, beer me.
There you go. And of course, everybody knows my old spiel for the for the end of the show here. Make sure the StreamYard just sharing it. It is. When you do have a victory, be sure to pour yourself a nice glass of your favorite alcoholic beverage or just regular beverage in one of our very lovely drinkwares. Come on, man. You guys know you want one. Just buy one. That's all I'm asking for. And of course, check out all the other merch over there at the redonkulasshop.com. It is in the Meat Gazer box. And, well, I have a new one for you. The government is a herpes and HPV infested dick. Protect yourself so it doesn't fuck you, because it will try to.
Yes, it will.
There you go. Stay safe, gentlemen. Keep your powder dry. Keep the cootie juices off your dishes, because that's just fucking nasty.
Yep.
Take it easy.
All right.
I can't do it! I can't!